Peter?
10 more seconds, sorry.
We're counting.
Who's the countdown?
3.
Ready when you are.
Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the April 24th, 2025 Southampton Town Planning Board. We'll have a roll call, please.
Chair LaFaro.
Present.
Vice Chair Finnerty.
Present.
The Secretary is here. Board Member Mutu is absent. Board Member Neely is
Present.
Board Member Fulham
Present.
and Board Member Glazer.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Minutes, please.
Yes, we have the April 10th minutes.
April 10th, motion to approve. Motion by Dennis, second by Kate. All in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Okay. So we're going to go right into the agenda. And just before we start, I just want to go on the record that the planning board wants to send we will approve this as part of a covenant now on any APOD, and I'll read it into the record. Dennis had suggested this, but now we just want to formalize it, and I'll give you the wording. But prior to the issuance of a building permit, a project limiting fence shall be erected delineating the demarcation of disturbance and non-disturbance areas. Said fence shall remain fully intact until issuance of a C of O, with the integrity confirmed by inspectors during the various inspection phases of the project. A survey indicating the location of the fence with accompanying calculations of disturbance areas by a licensed surveyor shall be submitted with the permit application. So I've reviewed this with council, and we're going to include it in our,
You're going to start to include this by way of the conditions of approval, but we will also be looking to, at some point, add this to the town code. So we'll discuss that with Janice.
okay?
Might I add, this only applies to
APOD,
which
yeah.
I did not hear
Yes.
you say.
Right, sorry, only APOD. Claire, want me to give this to you? Thank you. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Okay, Francis Mulvey, Seth?
May we approach? Sit here?
Yes, please. How are you? Haven't seen you in a bit.
I'm passing that down. Okay, so this application is for a standard two-lot subdivision.
I did touch the ground, but I was just hiding.
This is the final application, and we will be trying to achieve a conditional approval today. This is a 54,000 square foot property that will be divided in half to 27,000. It has the appropriate variance for the dimension being 27,000 and an R40. If you'd like, we can just jump into the final conditional approval.
Do we have it up? Can we have a site plan? I mean,
Pretty
may I
standard.
please-
I think.
It's fairly standard. It's divided in half. I also have a site plan.
Had to
Just
get
some
a variance
visual.
for an area variance, right? Area except if they
Excuse
need
me.
any other variances, the frontage and everything.
Did you need any other, you're the name for the record, please?
Robert Marcinta, J. Marcinta, Company, 250 North Sea Road, Southampton. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
We are going to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals pending approval with the construction of a house on what will be the vacant lot. But as far as variances, we got a lot area variance, basically, and that's the only thing that that's all that we needed to subdivide the property in half, basically.
Is this a two-lot sub and final approval?
Is this the final approval?
Yes.
And you haven't been to the zoning board yet?
No, we have
Oh,
a
you
variance.
have. I
yeah.
thought you said you
Yeah,
haven't.
but he
No,
just said,
Have
Gotcha,
the
gotcha,
variance.
gotcha. I got
Into
nervous
the,
for a second, sorry.
Health Department bought our Pine Barren credits, transferred the
Yes?
Pine Barren credits onto
You
these
need
lots
health
and
department,
extend.
We have the approval, and I've seen the Pine Barren credits as well. So
Okay.
they-
Good,
were
so they
supplied
comply.
to the planning division, yes. So that's actually one of the first whereas statements. The Suffolk County Department of Health Services has approved
Before you go,
septic systems.
you need, did you say you'll need dimensional relief also, Bob, because you're still constrained by the R40 setbacks?
Well, again, the existing house was fine and they are, at the time that we were doing the variance before the zoning board of appeals, they hadn't really determined exactly what they wanted to build on the property. We are in a process of submitting an application, again, pending approval
Right.
of the second lot or whatever for the construction of a house on what will be the vacant lot.
Dennis, just so you know, because I sit with the zoning board when they're addressing this, the zoning board will not grant a relief for building envelopes. So they have to
okay.
come in with a
Yeah.
specific plan, because they got to reference
We-
specific setbacks for
Right.
specific
We didn't
houses.
have plans.
So they won't
for
grant,
that.
yeah.
Okay,
He didn't want to
gotcha.
go.
So they just
down the
approved
road
the
of getting-
subdivision.
That's clear.
Plans
Yeah, they just
done.
give you the area variance that you need to.
Yeah, just for the creation of the two lots.
Good deal. Sorry, Seth.
No, that's
Okay.
all right. I'm learning too.
Proceed.
Thank you. So speaking to the zoning board of appeals, they granted the relief for the residential lot being 27, two of them being 27,000. That was dated January 19th, 2023. The project is classified type 2 per SECRA. And we'll just jump right into the referrals. The town engineer did not change his referrals from the initial pre-application. That he requires the monuments and the 3-inch drainage. The Conservation Board noted that it is in a medium priority water quality improvement zone and vital to protecting surface waters and replenishing the groundwater. This one, they did state a clearance standard should thus be adhered to with allowable site disturbance limited to the existing clearance on Lot 1, that being where the existing house is to the north, and 50% on Lot 2.
and that would be for a 40,000 square foot lot.
That would be, that's a very interesting point.
That's I don't.
That was your question.
Well, as I said, the lots are relatively small, they're 27,000 square feet, and,
Which would be a 60% under APOD, just,
And
so-
is this in the APOD?
No,
But it is in the Pine Barrens and other stuff.
just archaeological.
just archaeological. So this is
why do we
up
have
for
to-
your, well,
Where
this
the
is
Pine Barrens credits, why are they needed?
septic flow.
Septic, yeah.
So this is county.
sanitary flow.
Got it.
So, as I was saying, I would say if you, with 27,000 square foot lot, if you're gonna limit the clearing to half of that, I would submit to you that the clearing restriction on those lots would have, negligible impact on, protecting the groundwater. If you look at the other lots on, Percy Avenue, they're all developed, all cleared. Even I think the subdivision to the west, which is the East Ridge subdivision, those are larger lots and they don't appear to have any clearing restriction on them as far as I can tell. There's a tennis court there, as you can see. And so I would submit that it's unnecessary to impose a clearing restriction on the two lots to be created.
It's not an APOD? No.
No, just the archaeological.
Yeah.
So this is Conservation Board recommending this?
Yeah, that's a standard.
I did have it in the conditional approval, that it would be limited to the clearing as for the existing Lot 1 and 50%. So I would need to change that if the board elects to do
So
something.
Lot 1 is cleared, 50%, is that it?
They just cited existing, I don't know.
I don't know how
what
much
the-
is cleared. It is partially cleared. A good portion of it is cleared. There's a house on it.
There is a house.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have a, there, but to the north, yeah.
Probably be
It
looking more
shows
toward the
existing
buffers.
there.
You know,
Does it show-
buffers along the back.
No problem with that. If you want buffers.
Yeah. I think it's more appropriate to look at
I-
buffers.
I have to say, I'm personally not in favor of allowing more clearing or s- fewer setbacks when we create a smaller lot, because the smaller lot should have a smaller house on it. That's my personal opinion.
You don't want,
And the observation of additional clearing surrounding that maybe even warrants the limitation.
I think, though, you don't want to run into a situation where the message will go out that applicants should clear cut their parcels before they come in for subdivision, and then the issue is moot. In the APOD, as you know, you can't, but outside the APOD, you can, and that's what the message is going to be. Clear cut your lot, then bring the property in for subdivision. That's what I'm afraid of. Here, we have an opportunity to establish some buffers to the adjoining
On both
properties.
sides, and
Yeah.
and to the other side as well.
Yeah. Which does provide kind of a wildlife corridor,
North
too.
and south, yeah.
So shall we put in a covenant?
Have you looked at buffers, Seth, on those, or?
I mean, I haven't established it, I haven't decided on any sizes, no, I just.
20
have
feet,
gone-
is there room, I haven't seen the map, but is there room for 20-foot buffers on that?
Probably.
Looks like a deep lot, especially on the one side we can, right? You get 20 feet running around there. This is the new lot, right?
Yeah, that's the
Southerly,
vacant
yeah,
area.
The southern one.
20-foot corridor, wildlife corridor
Okay.
buffers. That work?
And the other lot is 50%
developed.
preserved?
We don't know.
We don't have any,
I don't have the clearing on that because it's not a lot per se.
right.
I haven't calculated what it is. I'm just looking at it.
Looks like it's
I would
cleared.
say it's 50% at least.
Yeah.
At this point.
Edge of clearing, okay.
You can kind of.
I mean,
Well,
many
we should
times when they
put-
fall outside of the APOD,
We should put a buffer on that one too.
Yeah. Although we might not be able,
What's
Yeah,
in there?
yeah.
Is that a,
here's the edge of clearing. So if we get the 20-foot run here, we might catch some of this.
we could probably get more on this because the house is there, so we can,
Well, if we get
follow
the
the
20,
edge of clearing.
if we do 20 feet on here, we could just carry it right across. Just let this grow
And
in
more here.
naturally, non-disturbance.
Along the
This would grow in-
easterly,
Yeah,
westerly, I'm sorry,
this
westerly.
would grow in naturally. You'd have a little bit of a node here, but it would grow in, non-disturbance. You get 2 years.
Naturally,
You get
Edge of
successional
clearing.
growth.
It would be
we're
interesting
not
to
on
get
the
the
action deadline.
calculation.
Should I propose something, draw something up for the board? Is that how you'd like to proceed, or is this?
Just do it by the condition.
we're going to see it, but without seeing it. So here, take a look.
The final
See
map's
that?
gonna show it. This is gonna be a condition of approval, so a final map's gonna come in with the buffer on it.
I
Well,
just
it'd
want
be
to make sure
interesting-
that the language is in the report.
When's the deadline?
The 14th of May.
Oh, you have one more session to go.
Bring it back.
All right, so bring it back.
Yeah, so if you have time to
rewrite
show
it.
the calculation too with the 20-foot buffer.
14th.
So let's bring it back, Seth.
Am I right?
Get the
Am I
language
wrong?
right.
with buffers.
And show
it
us,
was
you could
earlier,
show us the
wasn't
buffer up there.
Yeah. To
Have them
trace
draw
out
it
a
out on the
buffer.
map.
Rob, are you okay to the extent he's off a day or two?
Pardon me?
We had, the public hearing was on 3/13. I added 62 days to that. That's May 14th. Is that?
Are you okay if we bring back on the 13th if his math is a little bit off and we're up beyond?
Yep.
Okay, so are you,
Before the-
oh, the 8th, okay,
The 8th,
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay,
So is that how you prefer?
I think so.
that might be better.
Recommended buffers on the west side and on the south
Yeah.
side.
West side, south side, okay, so the, okay. 20 foot.
And in
buffer.
between.
Yeah, 20-foot
in
buffer.
between.
Works.
And if you could just show the calculation, since the original intent that was listed in there was 50%, if we are adding those buffers, just to get a sense of what the
Show the
percentage
calculations
comparison.
how? You mean on the survey?
I can do that.
You can do
Yeah.
it, right?
I mean,
I
I
just
don't know.
take
if
the
I
Take
can
square
get
footage
that
of
Right.
the 20 foot in and. do
So
some
we're
math.
saying we originally thought 50%, now we're adding these buffers, that equals, 40%. Okay, seems like a good compromise.
Okay, what are some of the others that,
Well, that was one of the issues brought up during the, for the requirements. The other, which is the Division of Fire Prevention, I won't get into standard requirements there, but the West Hampton Fire District advised the applicants that there were two different locations that they would require hydrants.
Are there any hydrants in there within 1,000 feet?
One across the street
I have
from
them
where
up
it's
here.
being proposed.
Oh, across the street,
Here's the
On the-
property along Percy.
yeah.
If you look on Montauk, we have, there's a hydrant here.
Yeah, here it is. It's,
There
I
there
took
is,
a picture
there's
of
a
it.
It's
hydrant.
right across the street.
Right, it's right across the street from where they're suggesting one here, right on the, what's that, the east side of Percy across. On the north side of Montauk Highway, there's one on the south side of Montauk Highway, which is this one. So I
That's odd.
don't know if
Well-
Oh, I know why. They do that so they don't have to bring hoses across.
Across the
Montauk
street?
Highway. Is there public water on Percy?
it will be. I mean, that was part of the health department approval.
Oh, you
that
gotta
we
bring
had to
it in?
extend the water main.
Okay, then
Correct.
they want the hydrant.
So we're understood on that one?
Yeah, we're gonna need
Is
the hydrant.
that either location then, that they're suggesting?
Either location?
I mean, they had two
proposed
suggestions.
Oh,
Where?
So, well, one was there, which is one, as I said, across the street. The other one is like more on Percy itself.
I think on
On
Percy.
Percy,
Yeah.
yeah.
It seemed to make
Well,
more
if the
sense.
logic is not to drag hoses across the street,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so we've decided on that.
It's in the archaeological, so they've done a
Yes.
phase 1A and B,
Yes, yes, they have,
okay.
and nothing else found. So no comments were received from the Suffolk County Department of Planning or the Trail Advisory Board. I won't get into the resolve, we'll save that for next time then.
Okay,
Okay,
But it's there for you to look at.
so we don't have to.
so
do
we're
an
moving
extension
it to
or-
May 14th, May 8th,
No.
May 8th.
We
no
don't need an
action.
extension. We're not at.
No, we're not at action deadline, so we
Good.
don't need an extension. Okay, I'm glad we went over it. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, love.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Much more heads help sometimes.
Sometimes it's good to do.
Yeah,
Any heads?
it's either or, yeah.
Okay,
Back on the-
Teresa,
Percy's
the
better,
bridge
don't
site
you?
plan disturbance covenant amendment, number 2,
And number 6.
and number 6.
What did we miss?
Number 2,
Is that what
the
we're doing?
bridge, yeah.
Yep.
And also number 6.
Okay.
I asked Tony Pasca to come up too.
Yes, please. Mr. Pascal,
Thank you.
have a seat.
All right, so being passed out to you now is the draft staff report, as well as a resolution. I had tried to expedite this because I know that they had been waiting for an updated CO, so, but there may be some issues that are arising, so the
Is
resolution
this
may
action
be-
deadline or not?
No, the action deadline is the second meeting in May, because we had the public hearing last meeting.
Okay, good, so we have a little bit of time. Can we have your name for the record?
Anthony Pascal.
Thank you.
So I have the staff report in front of you. It's the draft report. The application is to amend the site plan to legalize modifications to the existing slopes beyond what was previously permitted and to restore the natural vegetation. There is a second request as well to amend the existing common driveway easement to eliminate the need for the common driveway for the lot 15. We had that work session in the fall. There was some concerns with slopes on lot 15 where they were coming in for the common driveway. So we have elected in that particular instance to consider the covenant amendment. So we had a public hearing on April 10th with a 10-day written comment period. It was closed. There were no comments submitted at that time from the public. We did receive the letter from Mr. Pasca yesterday regarding the project. We have standard comments from the fire marshal's office. And then we also received Conservation Board comments dated April 9th, which basically indicated that they recommended the 2-for-1 revegetation to overclearing ratio, which was recommended to the applicant previously during our discussions with them after our work session. And they had agreed to that. And they are also recommending that a covenant be established for that 2-to-1 ratio. So that would bring the clearing down to 30.26%. And then I go through the site plan standards. And generally speaking, it's generally consistent. The issue again is, and you'll, if you read Mr. Pasca's letter, which I emailed out yesterday, they have concerns with respect to the covenant. I also agree with the recommendation for the covenant because the slopes have been permanently altered beyond what was initially permitted. and the revegetation at 2:1 would be, formalized and in perpetuity to mitigate the impacts to those slopes. And we do similar methods for other projects, wetlands, et cetera, in the town. So those are my recommendations. I had drafted a resolution to approve the project today. With that particular condition, I think that was the main sticking point.
It's the only sticking point.
Right.
I mean, I didn't read your draft, but the only sticking point is the
Yeah,
covenant.
so let's talk about it. Yeah.
We have a big problem with the covenant. We don't have a problem with bringing the revegetation down, which we did, and it went way beyond where the final as-built revegetation's at 18.71% in a property where the subdivision was approved at 35% clearing. So it's not a problem with getting the revegetation down. The problem is with the planning board saying, because you overcleared, you now have to give up something permanently. You have to give away a clearing right that all 19 other properties in the subdivision have. I don't think it's a lawful condition, and just because it came out of the Conservation Board's recommendation doesn't make it any more lawful than if it had come up.
I hear you. It is a mechanism that this board uses in terms of overclearing, and so anybody please step in.
I just want to point out here that it's not the overclearing, right? We revegetate and we approve survey projects for revegetation all the time. It's the fact that the site plan process for this particular subdivision was due to the slopes, and they have altered significant portions of the slopes. So that cannot be recovered. In a lot of cases, some of those slopes can be recovered, but in this particular instance, without undermining the structures that were built, you cannot recover those slopes. So the mechanism to mitigate that was the 2:1 revegetation, and then to formalize that so that it doesn't get disturbed again, or additional areas of existing natural slopes get disturbed. That was why that recommendation has been made, right? Because the reason they're in is because of the slopes. If it was just a regular parcel that didn't have significant slopes as part of the subdivision, they would just go and get a building permit, and then if they overcleared, they'd come back for site disturbance, and we'd revegetate, and they'd be fine. But the issue here is the slopes.
So we're talking about an 8,000 square foot differential, essentially, are we not?
Yes.
Ultimately, yes.
Yeah. And I don't believe it's a taking, and it's certainly not intended as punishment, believe me. It's an effort to restore the parcel because all the land there is just so beautiful. What Teresa said about the slopes is true. Slopes can't be remade. I wish they could.
This isn't a site where the slopes were frozen in perpetuity. The client's allowed to build structures on the property. And the fact that it is beautiful property, but we're now down to less than 19% clearing on a 4-acre site. You know, to say to that person, you did everything we asked you to do, but you alone, all other 19 lots get a 35% clearing rate. You alone, because of the mistake made during construction by your construction crew. And by the way, they went to the building department. They presented the plans to the building department for the changes. It wasn't flagged for a site plan modification. It should have been. Not blaming anybody. It was a mutual mistake on both sides. That's why they're here, to get the modification. But it is punitive to say that because you did these things, and I would say, you know, had they come in with the exact same plan at the very beginning of this process, I can't see any reason why this board would have said no to it. It's not like they did an illegal plan, then had to go to the zoning board and say, give us a variance. That would have been a different story. Had they gone to the zoning board and they said, we did something illegal, you know, we need a setback variance or something like that, and there was a request that said, give us some mitigation back for what you did that was illegal, that's one thing. But what's being told to our client is because that somebody made a mistake during the construction process, you have to give up a right. And I don't mean it like the idea of it being punitive in a malicious way. I'm not saying you guys are, I'm not even saying the conservation board meant it in a malicious way, but it's punitive if the genesis of it is the over clearing, not saying mother may I before all that happened. So I do think it's a taking. I don't think it would stand up. It's also not necessary, and I don't think there's a good record for it in this particular case. Maybe other cases there might be a good record for it. There's not a good record for it here.
I think
What-
I'm hearing it a little differently in that it sounds to me, and I'm not an engineer, but the ability to clear more might not even be possible without making major further damage to either to the current structures or the slopes themselves.
So
And I'm not an engineer, but that's kind of what I'm hearing from you, Teresa.
So they gave us a plan, and they've actually implemented the plan because it was generally consistent with what, because they are in, they've been waiting for CO. And again, that's why we've been trying to expedite this project, right? But they did more than the 2-to-1 revegetation. They're down at like approximately 18%. And then, if they file this covenant, they can clear additional areas up to that 30%. Regrading of those slopes would need a site plan, right? And they would have to come back to us. But again, the 2-to-1 was the offset for the irreparable changes to the slopes, which if they had come in with the plan that got built and they came in, we would have said, you know what, let's tighten up the slopes here or tighten up the slopes there. It wouldn't have been, I believe, 80,000 square feet of disturbance initially.
I think what you're saying, though, is kind of what council's point is, and I'm not taking a position on this, but I'm just saying, the 2-to-1 was the mitigation. That was the mitigation. You did this is what you're going to have to do now, because we obviously would not make somebody else do that. I understand what he's saying, that he feels that beyond that, you made us do the 2-to-1. We got it down to 18, and now you're saying on top of that, we have to now give up that 5%. I don't know what that equates to at the end of the day. We have to do that too. Now it feels punitive. It's not punitive. I don't believe it's punitive. I don't believe it's a taking. But that said, I get what he's saying. So,
but it formalizes that 2-to-1, right? Because they can go up to the 30. They're at 18 now. They can go up to the 30, right? As long as it doesn't require alteration of additional slopes, because that would require site plan again, right?
Or structures.
Right. But so at the end of the day, it's not punitive because it's formalizing the mitigation that they've agreed to. It's just a formalized thing saying, okay, you agreed to a 2-to-1 to offset the damage to the slopes. And this is what it is. That's what it is. That's the 2-to-1. And if you go in and you clear to 35%, then you've lost that 2-to-1 mitigation. So then that doesn't mean anything anymore.
Why did they do the 2-to-1 though?
Because you had recommended that we work with Marty Shea at the Environment Division to find ways to mitigate. And Marty went out and did an inspection. We were out there with the town engineer. There's no way to fix the slopes, to regrade the slopes back to what they were at the site. So he had recommended to offset the changes to the topography and the ecological conditions that they provide, that they do a 2-to-1 revegetation ratio.
are there still slopes now
There are still
that need to be protected?
yes.
Would your client have an issue, forget about the percentages for the moment, but just a covenant that would agree to no further disturbance of slopes?
Without further site plan review.
Without
Yeah,
further request for
part
amendment? You're entitled to ask,
Yeah,
yes. but-
that's my point, though. Part of asking for the 31 or whatever, the 30.26% is a permanent thing that we'd have to get the covenants amended in order to do it. To have a covenant that says you can't alter the slopes without coming back for site plan review, which this property already has to do, like most residential lots don't come in for site plan review. This entire subdivision does. And so there is that added layer of protection that doesn't apply to some other lots, that maybe for those lots, it might be a little more justified to say, you need some extra covenants in place. But if it was something like that, I think that's a normal thing to say.
Okay.
So
That
this,
would be part
Yeah,
of,
that's,
this is subject to site plan review.
it already, yeah.
It already
most
is, but we're
things-
just spelling it out and spelled and suspended.
Most things already are subject to site plan review, and if you
Right.
want that part of it spelled out,
Well, in this particular instance, site plan is for construction, right? So, but people go in and regrade their properties all the time without a building permit. They don't need a building permit. They're just regrading because they got a little hill in the back and they kind of want to make it flat so their kids can play soccer, right? But it's not a structure because they're just making it flat. And under, correct me if I'm wrong, Claire, but under the current covenants, they have to get site plan only for construction, correct?
Well, it depends on what it says, right?
I think you're correct, though. That's
but-
typically how they,
Yeah, it's not typical. It's not a typical thing.
Whatever
to
it is,
have
we're
it.
gonna say that
I
you
don't mind
need
if
a
you
site,
wanna
plan.
add
There's no
that. Let's
further
say it's,
degradation or clearing into any of the, we'll come up
Slopes,
with the wording,
remaining
slopes, without site plan approval, for any reason, whether it's construction or whatever. You wanna make a garden, you're not going into the slopes.
that's a more like related type of condition than just saying give up 4
Yes.
percent to 5%.
although it's, in fact, it's unenforceable. You don't need a building permit to plant a garden.
If you agree to it, it's a condition of the
if we,
covenant.
It's enforceable
if we
in
write a
time.
covenant, if we write a
If
covenant.
the covenants
it
were
will.
to say that slopes cannot be altered without site plan, I mean, that's done for ag reserves all the time.
Yeah.
Like the standard ag reserve covenant says you can't regrade and alter
Right.
slopes without.
And would those areas be
SAP
noted
it's
on
related to
the
the
site
Yeah,
plan
and then it would be
non-disturbance
clearly
area?
delineated.
We would have the
Noted on the
typical,
site
it would be, that would be a typical, whatever it normally is.
Yeah, I'm not sure it, I mean, I think whatever the slopes are, your point would be
You need to stay.
the existing approved slopes shall not
Not
be
be
altered
disturbed.
without further site plan review. That would seem
Yeah,
to
that-
cover at least that
Then
concern.
you'd come
too.
back to us,
Right.
yeah. Yeah.
And those should be noted, so it's not
Very
up for
clearly noted.
interpretation.
They're on
The
the
existing
Yeah.
slopes, this slope, that slope, let's put it on the plan
Yeah.
itself to
What's being
say.
approved.
Yeah, it's on, I think the survey
I have to
itself.
double check, but
Yeah,
I'm
make sure.
almost
And
100% sure.
We'll, this project limiting fence, I mean,
Well,
I'm
it's
some
done.
predict-
It's,
It's still,
It's all,
Sorry,
no, but I
doesn't
mean,
apply
the
to this.
future
absolutely.
slopes. So
And
they should be
policy
delineated,
moving forward.
and they should, and the building department needs to see them. You know, they need to take a look at it. The
This
building.
is not for your project. Jackie's
okay.
talking
Yeah.
more,
I heard
more
what you were talking about
generally.
before. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Which might have solved, had that been in place,
Yeah.
that might have
There you
solved.
go.
That's it.
I noticed that.
So work on language for the next meeting? Does that
Yeah.
make
Sure,
sense?
we're not
Let's-
action.
And let's get a map that clearly
Shows the
shows
slopes where they
whether your
exist today,
architect
so
or
there's,
can
so there's no
shade them
question.
out or
Okay, so I will table
So
this for today and then
bring it
have
back
room on the
on
agenda for next week. Okay,
May.
Hey,
the next
Is that the
meeting.
next one, May 8th? Is that good?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure, and
good.
if it's something that we work out, then I'll just confirm that we're okay with the condition.
Great. And then you can move forward with your CO. Okay,
Thank you.
great,
Good.
thank you. Thanks for coming. Okay, where are we? Thanks, Teresa.
Yeah, 1052 Noyak Path.
Yes, and I sent the board a pre-app report.
Yes.
And I have hard copies that I could give you after. The applicant's attorney couldn't be here today. That's sort of a complicated set of issues. So we're just going to do an extension.
What number is this?
Number
Number
3,
1052 Noyak
Oh, okay.
Path. An extension of the action deadline until May 8th, 2025.
until May 8th. Okay, motion
Motion.
for an extension by Kate, second by Dennis. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. Yes, you want to take something?
Yeah, take someone out, or they have
Yes.
a conflict.
Yeah.
Brian Lacazio. So
Yes,
this is Brown Buddha.
Anthony, you had a lot of questions in that report. On the 8th, will the applicant have the ability to answer those?
He's got the report, so I guess we'll see. Part of the purpose of that report is these are the issues.
Mhm.
Absent us resolving them and you giving us the information, there's not much we can do here. So we'll see what he comes back with. So this is Brown Buddha.
Which is what number?
Number 14.
14, thank you.
1530. So
How are you?
Hey, Walter.
Good. We have new microphones here, so everybody, can you hear us in the back? Good.
So everybody remembers Highway Business Zone. This is the old, I think it was a pool contract.
Yes,
business
real old
there.
cool.
All the buildings were there. This was completely site plan previously. The site plan was built out. We got the determination from the chief building inspector, which was no surprise, that the zoning district line, the property is not adjoining a residential district. The zoning district line comes down some sort of right of way. So we got that determination. We also got the completeness from Tom on the site plan for this. What you see is maintaining everything. We brought the applicant with the traffic engineer today because I think Tom had some questions about the traffic report. Just a little heads up here, this particular application, unlike the other ones that we have, this building is 4,200 square feet. So it brings it out of the type 2 action and into the unlisted action. So if we're able to get through today, and I think we will, the traffic stuff, then what I will do is put it back on for next time to do the secret determination and then schedule the hearing.
Okay. Anthony, what's the property to the east? The vacant lot?
It's a,
Break,
Is it county?
it's a reserve,
No,
You mean this?
no, this, further.
but
Open
just,
space from the subdivision to the north. I believe.
yeah,
Oh, it's open space, okay.
I can't get into the internet. I wanted to see, 1533 means nothing to me. Where are we on County
You know
Road 39?
the old building that had all of the big statues out in front of it?
Yes,
Just east of that.
okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
Yeah, yeah. that
just
little one
Gillo
with-
Pools.
You know, the one with the gorillas and the
Yes.
Yeah, I
tigers
mean-
and
Children love driving past
elephants. Yeah.
Moved to River.
Dinosaur.
and the
I saw that actually.
He's moved to
recently.
Riverhead
Yeah,
now,
yes.
yeah. They look better there.
I agree.
King Kong relocated.
So I think, Tom, what I will say, as we get more of these, we're getting these traffic reports in, we've had several engineers do them and different ones. What we're seeing is because there's more information, these reports rely on the ITE. There's industry numbers and standards that is the basis of where they start a traffic report. So we're getting more numbers are beginning to come in as more of these facilities pop up, in different states and everything. And I think so far what we're seeing is that at least the reports are showing that even the one from Hampton, for example, showed that the traffic for Carvel would be larger than these. So they're not showing that they're generating a ton of traffic. But I think in this case, there were just some questions I think Tom had in relation to some of the information.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. As I read through it, I found what looked to be some inconsistencies in the number, and I may be misreading it or whatever, Walter, and I don't know if we can solve them right now, but let me just put them out there for you. Now, there aren't page numbers on this, so I counted the pages. The page entitled Accident Records, which I think is page 9. At the bottom, it says an average of 1 accident per year occurred at the existing intersection of County Road 39 at the existing site access driveway. Then you go over to page 10. So there, one in a 4-year period. So that says 4 accidents to me. I think you go over to page 10, and I think it says somewhere now that there were 9 accidents at the location. So this may be my reading of it or incorrect reading of it, but if you could maybe take a look at the numbers on page 9 and page 10 and clarify them or make sure they're correct or explain it a little bit, that would be great. So again, it's the difference between one place that seems to say 4 crashes in 4 years. The next page, it seems to say there were 9 crashes. You also, in a couple places, mentioned that you contacted the town police department for more information for the MV 104s. But it doesn't say anything of what came of those requests. Like, you didn't get them,
Never got
or
'em.
you never got them?
So I figured it would say a little bit less, we're not going to.
Okay, so you asked, but didn't get the information.
Right.
Okay.
And I think, if I may, the numbers may be off there because it should be telling the section of the roadway, but not the location immediately in front of the site. So we used a strip along there, and we gathered the accident data from the start of County Road 39, where Sunrise Highway Route 27 ends, and then County Road 39 starts. We collected the data from there all the way over to Tuckahoe Road by the college and the golf course. So we were looking at everything there, but we were trying to concentrate to show that, it's certainly not a high accident location.
No.
It would be 10 accidents per year would be defined as a high accident location.
Okay.
And so even if we had that, if I couldn't clarify that 9, that would be less than what the county would
Than
be
a high
looking for.
accident, okay. And I guess part of the, then, within the report, you kind of say that no restriction on left turns is recommended or is needed or something like that. But there's no breakout of any of the accidents and whether they were left turning accidents or not. So you're kind of making a recommendation without saying there were no left turning accidents, so we don't feel you need left turn, we don't feel you need to restrict. So just kind of wondering what your rationale for arguing against left turn restrictions.
The major argument is that the amount of traffic being generated that would be exiting the site, making a southbound to eastbound left turn out is small, very small. And the total amount of traffic that would be adding here, I guess the big thing we did here is we were asked to, let's not go to a complete comprehensive traffic impact study, which would show capacity analysis. We go out at every intersection, whether it was signalized or signalized, and we do an analysis there. And quite frankly, it doesn't show much because as the level of service drops, that's still a good level of service and determined by the county and the state. So if the county reviews this, which I can feed you more information on that in a bit, but so what we did is we went on the basis of another suggestion that the planning board had on another project in the past, right near this same project. And in that case, we went and we took data from the files of the New York State DOT. They've been collecting a lot of data now with the studies going on County Road 39.
Yeah.
So instead of collecting data, as the planning board has suggested, we went through and rifled through all the files, did a lot of search through a lot of information that we gathered out of their websites, all right? And as a result of that, we had pretty good traffic volumes coming through each hour of the day. And as a result of that, we used that as analysis. And the key was we looked to see, even though now the Gillow pool place is out, it generated substantially more traffic than the proposed Brown Buddha. And we went back, and since they weren't there anymore, I couldn't go and quickly justify it. If I would have known they were up in Riverhead, I would have probably gone up there. But maybe not, because the time we were doing is the winter time, and that's not the activity of the pool service. So what we did is we went back and looked at the Google Earth and the maps, and we looked at this site from a couple of years ago, and all the parking spaces in the back were totally full with pickup trucks, really, which were either the employees either had their own pickup trucks there, or more likely, it was the pickup trucks that go out to do the servicing. So it showed right away. And so the analysis that we did was really based upon getting data from the state and then saying, well, the right way we would do is to subtract the amount of data of the volumes that were coming out of the site with a deal of pool service. But we didn't know the exact number there. And so we assumed that if we left it in and had the volumes as shown, and then we added in the traffic from the Brown Buddha, what would be the impact on County Road 39, which I think is one of the questions the board asked on another project. So when we did that, even with keeping the amount of traffic generated by the previous use, and we added the small amount of traffic in from Brown Buddha, it showed that the increase in traffic was less than 1%. And I think we showed it about 0.2% of 0.2% of 1%. So it was extremely low volumes of traffic coming out there. So the contribution of very minor traffic to the roadway is really a beneficial traffic impact. It's not an adverse traffic impact.
So
That's why we presented it.
So a little history here. This particular section of the road, we had some serious problems with the business across the road because they were delivering pallets of stones and rocks and God knows what, and parking their trailers right smack in the middle of the road in that center. Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And it was just highly dangerous. you couldn't make a turn. And so they came in with an application for the property right to the east of them that they use for storage across the road, Anthony, yeah, there. With the promise that they would not have their trailers park in the middle of the road and for deliveries. So it's a funny little spot, you know, it's not that pure in that sense. So just a little bit of history there. But are you saying that you can make a left-hand turn out of here?
Absolutely.
Well, let me weigh in at this point. Now, things have changed now. I think as a matter of policy, we should not, with the new Sunrise turnaround, we should preclude the left turns just like we do on the properties on the south side of County Road 39. You have the easy ability to head up there, do safe turnaround that
And come
the
back.
state of New York constructed, and come back. There shouldn't be left turns out of this site or any site.
Do you remember why they put that turnaround there?
Yes. So people wouldn't have to make left turns.
The Lobster Inn.
Yeah.
We lobbied the heck out of the state for about 10 years to get that
Yeah,
turnaround put in.
and it's a safe, responsible way to go.
Well, I think the big thing that you have to realize here is that who's the agency responsible for the traffic operations as well as the maintenance and design along County Road 39? Obviously, it's the county, Suffolk County DPW. And there's always I guess I've been one of the few people that have been involved in every stage of modification to County Road 39. I remember when it was one lane in each direction, you know? I remember when I did the first US Open back in 1986. We used a shift in the lanes, reversible lane operation. We used every bit of it, but there's only 66 foot of right-of-way along County Road 39. So you have to come up with another way of getting it, and there are ways of getting it. Hopefully the people that are doing the study, they haven't come to me to ask me what I would do, you know? I only have probably the best traffic operation knowledge possibly in the country based upon being on the Freeway Operation Committee for 25 years, when you're only supposed to be on it for 3 to 6 years, you know? So I couldn't.
And we're the
tell you how to
biggest
stop.
challenge ever, right? So the east end of
Well,
Long Island.
It is, but you know, compared to, if you go to the Jericho Turnpike, you have the same thing, a 5-lane section of roadway, 2 lanes in each direction with a center turning lane. And they're going through it. They don't have a large occurrence of accidents on them either. Because what happens here is, as roadways get congestion, you start using people to make maneuvers. If it's stop and go traffic, they're courteous, they let people go in. So some of the problems that you think are potential problems are not occurring to be the problems. And again, in the report, I told you that we would be doing a meeting or discussion with the Suffolk County Department of Public Works. My last discussion was last Friday with the new chief engineer, Alex Prego.
Yeah.
I went over the whole report with him. I sent in a copy. He couldn't find that you had sent in a report. So I took the liberty of sending in a report there. And one of their concerns is the design of that 5-lane section accommodates left turns in that center turn lane. Yes, there are situations. When I first saw my first operation of a 5-lane section, happened to be up in Albany, New York. I was up for meetings there when I worked for the DOT for 15 years. And at that time, I said, oh my God, this is a catastrophe waiting to happen. You know, what happens if somebody comes in and there were 2 people come into that lane wanting to turn, and one of them got in too soon, well, they're overlapping. And is it a standoff? Do they stand? Well, what happens is they wait and they get back out into the lane
Yeah.
and they move.
Okay.
Can I
yes.
just, the planning board routinely does this when we're talking about left turns onto these highways.
No
And so
left turns.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, based on my experience now with the cannabis applications, is that the Brown Buddha people wanna move forward. And I don't think they're gonna have an issue with the condition. That's no left
Exactly.
turn.
Do we have any cross-access here?
I looked, I was trying to.
Yes, there is established cross-access.
Right here, right?
Yep.
Or here, right here, actually, it's on the
Correct.
plan.
And there is an opening, an active opening.
On both sides.
Yeah,
And
it doesn't,
active-
it doesn't go all the way
Doesn't
down,
go yet.
anywhere, but,
But at least we have that.
so yeah, I mean, but I think that, if that's a condition that the planning board imposes, I don't.
I'm sure they won't, but I think from a standpoint of whether it's right or wrong is a different situation, you know? The county is the one that has to say over this, no matter what you want to look at, you know? You can make recommendations to the county. There's only been one other case, as you know, on County Road 39, that the town turned down left turns out of it. And I understand that's in litigation, so, but that's based on a high volume of traffic. If you have a high volume of traffic.
But that is a high-traffic road.
No, I'm talking about the left turns out. What's the volume of vehicles doing?
You leave there and you want to make a left turn going east, you take your life in your hands.
Right, but the client doesn't want that,
don't,
right?
I
And
honestly-
so I think
in
it's
respect to
kind
his
of
time, I think
discussion
we're-
closed.
yeah, okay, so
It's not really worth
I think it's worth
continuing.
noting that this is an approved site, and we're not modifying that site.
Nothing.
This has already been reviewed, and
Mhm.
we offered data that it's actually a less intensive use.
Maybe a little bit.
Right. We have a primarily delivery focus. Obviously, people, we hope as many customers as possible come in, but we're intending to be a delivery primary service. So that also is going to help with the traffic in and out of our site. We're not going to have the early morning staff coming in because we can't open before 10 a.m. So we're going to avoid the trade parade in the morning. It's recreational, so I offer a lot of it will probably be on the evenings and weekends when the traffic is manageable and the trade parade has commenced.
Except for the 4 to 7.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
just-
the traffic on this road, it is what it is. And
Exactly.
this is where we're zoned to open, so I
Do we
appreciate the issue you have.
Signage and lighting and all of that? Signage, lighting, all the other site plan details?
Yes, we-
All been
Yeah.
submitted.
Yes.
Okay.
But, and the other side of it is, you know, so what I was gonna say is, I'm gonna put this on next time, you know, to do the and then the secret, and then we'll schedule the hearing. It's gonna be for June, the same date, it's gonna be for either one of these meetings. And then we could also get our referrals out, it's gonna go to the DOT, or whoever else, and let's see what they come back with also, that'd be good to see. Okay. Where'd you come from?
Okay, so,
There's really no action today, I wanted to
There's
get
no-
some of these issues, you know,
Okay.
clarified, and then we're gonna put it back next
so
time,
for May 8th,
for May 8th,
we'll
we'll
do
do secret
secret and then schedule a public hearing. Tom, did you get your questions
Yeah,
answered?
I think we're good.
Would you like me to write that up and send it in with the action
Any other
things?
questions?
I think we're okay.
Thank you, thanks so much.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Sherry.
it, of course.
Yeah. So let's go back to the regular sequence now.
And thank you for accommodating my schedule. I appreciate that.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Number 4, Seth Maynard, Million.
Maynard here?
Okay.
Handouts for you. I have the 292-39B pass along. And I have a draft resolution as well.
This is a vacant lot?
One of them is a vacant lot, yes. So
Alright.
this was a simple lot line modification that has
You need one more.
ballooned. So you should have a draft resolution and the 292 referral for wetlands.
So here's our first covenant insert. Is that
Yes.
what I'm hearing? EPOD, vacant
Well, we're in
property?
the APOD, yes, and
Okay.
we have some interest because of its proximity to the wetlands.
Yes, the Conservation Board issued a report, right?
So the planning division did a referral to the conservation board at their request. Let me just pull it up. This is 10 and 12 Red Creek.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
I'm sorry.
it's outside the
No.
street.
Yeah, it is.
It's not
Red
APOD.
Creek Road?
It's on the east side, it's not, and the west side is.
Oh, okay.
Next one.
Next one.
Nothing says there are
Wetlands is the issue.
Wetlands is a
Squires
different,
Pond, yes.
yeah, they're subject to wetlands.
Okay, so you're going over the report?
Yes, I am. Yeah, so this is 10 and 12 Red Creek. This is a lot line modification. This is for the transfer of 2,040 square feet from 10 Red Creek to 12 Red Creek. That would be redeveloped to the north. They are granting the one to the south, 12 Red Creek, that extra square footage. And that's to accommodate a proposed, future development of a house and an envelope that they proposed in order to get the combined side lots, they needed to transfer some of the square footage from the one to the north to the one to the south. The action is a type 2 action under SECRA. We did have a public hearing, and no comments were received. It has gone out for referral, and it is in the archaeological sensitive area, and they have gotten a report from the New York State Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation stating that no properties, including archaeological and/or historic resources listed in or eligible for New York State and National Registers of Historic Places will be impacted by this project.
Seth, excuse me,
Separate
they
points,
they submit that report to you, do they not?
They gave it to me, the
Okay, is
applicant.
Tracker doing most of them?
This was from the New York State Department of, New York State Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. So that is.
They did the actual review?
Yeah, they did the actual review.
That's unusual.
It was new to me, but.
Yeah, because
most
usually there are
things-
companies that do it, and
Yes.
Tracker is one of them.
Yeah, we had discussed it, and I sent him out, and he had gone to the state, and they had supplied him with a report, because it was, at any
Well, I
rate,
mean, well, the state report would say it falls within the circle and squares New York State map.
yes, it's
But-
a New York State sensitive area, so he went to the state for a
Anthony, does that
determination.
sound odd to you?
Who did the one
Who
B?
did the review?
The state did the one B?
I can't
Yeah.
believe they did the shovel probe?
They probably did the one A.
I have to pull it out here.
Yeah, they probably did a 1A, but they don't do the 1B.
I don't know that the state does anything.
Right, yeah, I don't think they'd be involved, except to draw the circles and squares.
Yeah,
It's in here somewhere,
Maybe
probably at
another-
the bottom.
maybe now they're getting more involved with the one A.
Sorry,
No, you're-
many referrals.
There we go. Yep, that's a 0.
It's a 0, it's nothing.
Thank you for your request and comments from the office. These comments. Based on review, it is an opinion that no properties, including archaeological or historic resources listed in or eligible for New York State, will be
Letter
impacted
of
by this
non-jurisdiction,
project.
basically.
Yeah, that's not going to.
It's nothing, Seth, you're going to have to get them to,
Gotta dive a little deeper.
well,
No, they
have
got to do the phase 1A,
they have to
1B.
do a
I'm sure
phase
that's what
1A
the
and
report
1B, and there are
issues.
companies that do it.
Well, that sounds like an incomplete item.
Incomplete.
It's not the final.
It's a lot line,
Lot
so
line.
I don't,
Sorry, Seth.
yeah, I believe it is.
You could just adopt this as a report, and then when they come back with the report, then turn it into a resolution. So you can, are you at action deadline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, on the Mulvey, there was a pre-application report that was adopted, and then I told him, no, actually, you needed to do an archaeological review. So we're gonna go back and do that now when we go in.
The guy, they didn't do the art.
Yeah, so you could just
We
adopt
adapt the
this,
report.
you can adopt this resolution like a report.
Oh, okay.
So it would just be that.
So this
here's
is
the
just
issue.
we're reviewing a draft report.
Right, and all you're gonna do is.
But there's no action, right?
Well, it would just be like your pre-app report, obviously it's gotta change the format, but the information would be in there. And there's no problem like holding off on that. The deadlines they're there, but it's not like a default approval.
No,
So I would rewrite this as a pre-app report, inform him, he's gotta do the archaeological, which takes a month. And then you can come back and do the decision, but next meeting, adopt it as a report, saying
Okay.
that this is an outstanding issue.
so no action now.
Okay,
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
but we're going to adopt the report.
Yeah, take this information in the pre-submission.
Do we have to formally adopt it, vote on it?
I
No.
would, just it gives him the guidance of like, here's the issues.
Okay,
He can work on the other items, and then,
Okay.
obviously, that's a big one, before you make a
Yeah,
real
yeah.
decision on the application.
anything more, Seth, that's open here, or?
Yeah, there is quite a bit more action.
Quite a bit more.
What should I be looking at? I got so
I'm
confused.
sorry, yeah, I'm working off of the draft resolution.
Okay.
And we're about to start looking at
This is the draft resolution,
that's the 292 referral to the Conservation Board.
and this is not labeled anything. What is this?
That must be it then.
We need a heading.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Of
I
something.
just
I
handed
think
it out.
it's
What is
supposed to be a resolution, but
Maynard,
the
yes.
top of it is missing.
Yeah, it's just my draft form. This is Millian Maynard.
Rather than incomplete.
Yeah, maybe you can just go over this with Claire before you finish it.
Certainly.
Well, should we?
Okay, so do you want to go through the other issues, Seth,
Yes,
or-
yeah, so I think what I thought was more of the issue was its proximity to the Squires Pond and the wetlands. So the initial referral was responded to, as I've handed out by the Conservation Board, that it required a 292 referral, which I have handed out to you. So I did pass that along with the submission of a covenants and restrictions. Are we all on the same page here? Or not?
Yeah, it's this.
Okay, so I had A through F, a minimum buffer of 50 feet to the west of the rear lot, line. So that would be what Anthony is pointing out, that would be 50 feet. That prohibiting turf fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, or similar treatments, clearing or disturbance of natural vegetation, including excavation or deposition of fill. The second one was the minimum 125-foot setbacks for structures inclusive of driveways, patios, decks, and other structures, and a minimum of 150-foot setbacks for future wastewater sanitary systems for both lots 1 and 2. I added lot 2 because that's where there was actually 100 feet did transect that rear lot
The setback.
line. Yeah.
Mhm.
So lot 2 is within the 125 for structures and 150 for septic systems. It does not extend 50 feet into the property. However, I thought it prudent and something for you to consider that you would put a covenant restricting any clearing of that area,
Or
a
building,
50-foot buffer.
Or any building in that area,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, well, it would be a covenanted buffer. So the Conservation Board did approve that referral. And I had invited the applicant, but
here's
he's
the-
not here to speak to the buffer.
So the Conservation Board is saying that
They,
as protection of the rear woods, it's recommended through establishment of a conservation easement extending 50 feet west of the rear line and would result in nearly 25% or 3,288 square feet of the proposed Lot 2 being preserved.
Yeah, just so you can see in Marty's referral there, that's the official 239 referral from the Wetlands Board.
Right.
Oh, no, not that, that's the one that he's looking at is the
the
resolution.
front,
The only thing that they are requiring, or at least recommending, is the 50-foot buffer on this piece. All of the other wetland setbacks are not particularly relevant at this point
Right.
because they're gonna
Okay.
exceed it. So that's all he's saying is the 50 feet on that one lot.
So that would be something that I had put in a required covenant for the approval, but we're not at that
Right.
stage yet. So unless you have issue with a 50-foot buffer,
No, no.
Sounds good.
okay? Well then, let me, I'll also add that.
I'm reading this thing from the Conservation Board.
Yes, that's
It doesn't say, it just refers to something you sent them. It doesn't say what they're approving.
This,
I'm reading it fast.
sure.
Approves the draft conditions. We prepare the draft
Okay,
conditions.
but I don't,
They won't put that, they go in our report.
okay.
Yeah,
And
here's
where,
their report. This is the Conservation
okay,
Board.
I haven't,
They all
Okay,
came in,
okay, he's got them.
they all came in Kristen, those Conservation Board reports, I just got them today, and today we have a meeting.
Yeah,
You just got them? Yeah. Okay, I printed them
okay,
out,
yeah.
but that's it.
I read them quickly, but I didn't make notes.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have time to go back to my agenda notes.
But you've picked that up and incorporated it.
Yes, I've incorporated, and the 50 feet covers the 150. I mean, by putting 50 feet, we have put a marker outside of the usual wetland setbacks for the septic and for structures. So it catches it.
So point A on your draft conditions covers that recommendation in their report. And then the second page here is just showing that they've reviewed your draft conditions and they are in favor.
Yes, and actually, without a vote from you, a majority plus one, that's what they want done. Unless you overturn it, that's my understanding.
Well, I'm seeing A, B, and C on,
I'm sorry.
I guess this is your report.
This is, one of them is a referral and one is a response to the referral. If there's an A through F, that's my referral, yes. to
Okay, I'm
conservation.
seeing 3 setbacks.
Okay, yes.
And I'm confused because the Conservation Board gave us a recommendation for 1.
Exactly, that 150 feet will catch the structural and septic setbacks for lot 2.
Hold on one second, let me take a look here and see what they
And
did.
lot 1, those setbacks are not changing. I mean,
You want the
A
conservation?
through F, you see A through F?
Yes.
Those, actually, all of those will be incorporated into any approval for this project. They actually, I misspoke, I misunderstand. These,
Conservation Board.
the conservation were A through F, those setbacks, the 50 feet, the 125, the
Come for
150. That's
Okay.
what they're requiring, and that's what he's gonna have to put in
Okay.
the resolution.
I apologize, I read that
Yeah.
quickly, but I did
No,
not relate
this
it.
was this became more complicated for a lot line change than it
Yeah.
ever should have been.
Because of wetlands, because,
We try to get people to do lot line changes with this board and just leave us alone and then go to the wetlands board to get permits. However, the law says you're the approving authority, you have to do all
Wetlands
this, so
permit, right.
that's why. So I misspoke here, sorry about that.
And I'm just confused, so.
yes, so they have approved our referral in its
Want this?
totality.
okay, so
So
you've
we-
covered the issues, right?
Yeah,
There are no more
yeah,
issues?
there were no really, it's not, the other referrals were standard issue, so.
Okay, so Seth, do
Engineer, fire prevention.
headings on these so we know all
I'm
about.
sorry, I should have had a page number, you have page numbers at the least? Okay.
Well, we
And
have a
headings.
couple hours. Can we see the draft? Could you?
Well, he's gonna
update
bring it up
and
next
bring
week. We're not are we at extra deadline?
No, we're gonna do a report for you, which guides the applicant that he needs to do the 1B.
So we're not changing this report.
No.
We're not gonna change this report.
Yeah, so it.
Well,
we'll do it
does
as
the
a
report
pre-
say,
yeah.
I don't think the report says he needs to do a 1B, because Seth thought it was done.
It's going to now.
It's going to now.
So, you had said that we should adopt the draft resolution as a report.
You
Is
can
that
do
still the
that. I mean, you could
recommendation,
do
or
that
can we just do
today.
no action?
Today, no action. Let's get you a
I would say no
report,
action.
and then it'll be very, very comprehensive, like the couple things that they'll need to do in
Yeah.
order to proceed.
Much better.
He's gonna keep this because if he gives the 1B and it's
Mhm.
negative, then you're just going to approve a resolution very similar to this with the guidance.
He needs to show you that he's done an archaeological review.
No, I'm sorry,
Do you
when
have
I saw it,
examples to show,
those
Seth?
properties
Does
were
anybody
not-
have tracker
Oh,
reports?
we have.
Tons of them.
Yes.
Okay.
We sort of have a lock on those.
Yeah, well, this was the applicant, though. The applicant went and got this,
Yes.
determination.
Right.
Which
So,
says not much, right. Okay, so no action on number 4, Maynard Millian. We're going to move to 80 Anchor Street, pre-app report. Seth, that's you.
Okay, well, let's hope for smoother, calmer waters. Let me get my other.
Imagine the archaeological firm that actually finds artifacts.
The reason why we only
Town
got
should
those
be-
referrals is because they had the meeting last night, so they get this.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I figured that,
Okay.
and I
Because we
couldn't-
had 2 of them on our agenda.
And I did not go back to my book when I was reading them this morning.
Okay, so 80 Anchor in Flanders is a 2-lot standard subdivision.
Hang on. Distributing. Okay.
These, they keep the short one.
We have another one, Seth.
I could share.
We're short
We're
one?
short one. We were short one the last time too.
And George is empty.
George is out.
empty. George is not here.
Can I steal yours?
We can share.
Yeah,
You
we're
don't
sharing, we're fine. We're fine.
Okay, so this lot will be divided in half and have a flag on the western side. It's in the R15. It's also in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District and the Central Pine Barrens Compatible Growth Area. The overall lot is 40,757 square feet, or 0.9 acres. The property is currently improved with a single-family residence from '69. The requested action will, like I said, establish a flag lot. The two lots will be, one will be 20,974. The second will be 19,782. This meets the criteria for a minor subdivision review process. This lot was granted a variance on April 18th of '24 for a rear yard setback of 47 where 50 is required for the existing dwelling. And the proposed lot 1, so that new line, I guess.
Is the subdivision line sort of right in the middle?
Yeah, exactly. Falling in the APOD, it would allow the clearing of 60% and 40% to remain undisturbed. Furthermore, it is in the Central Pine Barrens Compatible Growth Area, which I found out they do not deal with subdivisions, or is not.
They don't need to do a report.
Right, exactly. It is in the groundwater management zone 3, which requires 40,000 square feet. So in order to get their septic flow, they would have to apply for septic flow from the Central Pine Barrens. It would require credits. It does conform with the master plan, and many of the lots are similar within the vicinity. It falls as an unlisted action under SECRA, so there will be a SECRA review required. It is not subject to workforce housing. The park requirement, since it's a single lot, would be 2,500. There was a public hearing held on the February 13th with no comments, or written comments were not received either. To date, I have not received comments from the Trail Advisory Board or the town engineer, but the Conservation Board did note that the tract is marked by pine barrens, which, notwithstanding the forest fragmentation, have important value in terms of the native biodiversity, aquifer recharge, carbon sequestration, air purification, and wildlife habitat. Since they are located with the APOD, they would like to see the proposed clearing footprints, as well as calculations for what type of site disturbance is going to take place on the subdivision map.
Well, they're gonna get project limiting fencing now.
And now we're going to.
That's right.
Right.
That'll go in the report and the resolution.
Yes, that will go into the
I'll have to add
report,
right in there. Yeah, okay.
and it will go in the covenant.
The fire commissioner had no recommendations at this time. Highway department, no necessary recommendations. The Central Pine Barrens would like to confirm that the APOD standards will be met and preserve any large mature trees where feasible. Suffolk County Department of Health Services has not received a subdivision wastewater application. Do not undertake the project without Health Department approval.
Well,
Public safety, the
They
standard.
also need flow credits, so
Yes.
that's a bigger thing they need than just.
Quite right, yeah.
Do we need to submit this project limiting fencing, this policy that we're to the Pine Barrens Commission? No.
We discussed this at the beginning of the meeting. We're gonna add this.
That's one with the credit issue
Yeah.
came in.
That's
You mentioned something about Pine Barrens credit?
Yeah. I think I heard.
That was the application before, doesn't it?
Compatible growth.
For the health department.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So it's for the health department.
Yeah, sewage.
So that, but,
Yeah.
but that's, he was talking about the health department. He needs approval from the health department, but it's a two-part. They need to approve where they're gonna put the septic, but they also have to get the flow credits, is what I was trying to say.
Okay.
That's correct.
In order for them to grant approval, they'll have to get the credits. We can put, I haven't been adding on to their recommendations, but I can. All right, so our recommendations would state that the zoning board of appeals granted the existing dwelling a variance for rear yard. The proposed lots are accessible via Anchor Street, and that the proposed lot 1 in the back would require a new curb cut in addition to the existing curb cut. The applicant may consider having a shared common access driveway.
Right.
So we also, I also added that the planning board may consider requiring a vegetated buffer, street trees along the frontage with Flanders Road. I had mentioned that because that road does have quite a few trees along it.
Can you,
1.5
I would suggest you change the mays to shoulds.
Yes.
Okay.
Both places shall,
I don't
well,
think they have
shall
the area to do
makes
that.
it a requirement,
That's
right.
a 292, that's a design requirement, that's not. a
Okay.
zoning
Yeah.
requirement.
IA system, on-site water treatment systems are now a requisite for new home construction, so those will be required.
Seth, do you have a copy of the map?
I'm
Do you have a
sorry?
Copy of the map?
The map.
Yeah,
It's
with me.
it's,
I should probably pull it up.
Pull it up.
I'm afraid let me see.
Looks like that house is in the almost dead center of the property.
It
Well, that's
does.
gonna be demolished.
I don't know what,
Oh, we're gonna tear it down.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
pretty sure.
they said
that's why I say I don't
existing-
see that.
where did it say existing?
They said they have a rear yard setback.
They got a variance for the rear yard setback.
Oh, the house is
Grantably.
gonna stay,
The house is staying, yes.
okay.
Well,
It
This is
doesn't
a
look
pro-
like
it's higher.
47.
It's higher, the proposed. It's not in half,
This is
really.
the existing, okay.
Yeah, and the line is here.
Okay.
So the lot 2 is undersized, right?
Now it's
No, it's
15,000, yeah.
It's R15.
Where are the square footages?
Yeah, no, they're good.
Yeah, but, yeah.
Proposed lot 1 area, proposed lot.
20 and 19.
19,000.
So this is the house.
Yeah, this is the,
Overall is 40,756. Lot 2 is 19,782. And proposed lot 1 is
The
20,000.
aerial, that doesn't look like where the house is.
But it's in the R15 zone.
But it's an R15.
yeah, I guess.
The
Wow.
thing is,
That's the survey.
as a policy, if we're looking at this, everything works except for the groundwater management zone. And for this board to do a subdivision that creates basically the pathway for someone to undermine the groundwater management zone.
Well, that's
Is-
the health
This is
department's
this is
jurisdiction
the,
only.
This is the trigger, and we want the developments here. You can see the pattern of developments, the town,
Mhm.
when they did the master plan, said this is R15. It's actually, we're actually even giving them more than
Yeah,
you
it's
lining up with the
20,000.
health department.
Right.
So this is a mechanism, and the good thing about this is it is in Pine Barrens, it is in aquifer protection. You're preserving the larger areas, and it's a mechanism for that.
Does
too.
anyone
So-
know the rear yard setback for R15?
50,
The rear yard is
15?
50, right?
50.
50,
That's what we
okay.
The
said,
house,
yeah.
that's why the
50.
variance was 47, I think it was.
They have
a
a
minor
47.
variance.
47.
Yeah.
So they're gonna
A
need.
flag
relief.
lot, you can make the rear
Yeah,
anything you
but they're
want.
gonna
Yeah, they
need
can
relief.
pick in the.
They're leaving, that's why they have the variance, that's it.
Okay.
Right.
They have the variances.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Continue, Seth.
In your recommendations, don't you also have to include the credits, not just the IA system?
Well, the credits are, my understanding is for the Suffolk County Department of Health Services.
We don't get into where they
Well, it
come
just
from,
has to
because it's
comply.
not a zoning issue for the town. If they meet zoning, they're okay for the town. If they didn't, we would have to know it from the school district and all this stuff, but for the health department,
They don't care about it.
well, they care, it's gotta come from the groundwater management zone.
Yeah, same groundwater management zone.
It's
I can
40,000
ask
square
for
feet.
proof that the credits have been
Well,
acquired.
I mean, you're asking for the IA system, which really all they do is need health department approval. So it's like, why mention that
Not the other.
and not the other, or not mention either, except that you need health department approval?
Yeah, you're not gonna see, once you adopt this report, you're not gonna see it until that credit is.
Yeah.
I understand that,
They
I'm
won't
just,
say it.
it's the consistency of
Of
what we're
completing the
asking for,
language.
that's all.
Understood. I
Worth mentioning.
can add that and proof of septic flow credits. Yeah. Do the IA, sure. The Central Pine Barrens compatible growth area does require dark sky compliance pursuant to our Article 29. And the anticipated response from the town engineer being the 3-inch drainage for impervious surfaces.
And should you say, and anything else the engineer requests?
And
Comply with engineering.
all other
Yeah.
requirements.
What is Article 29 written in Roman numerals?
Dark skies. 500. Okay, and then we have the standard language for the fire prevention in regard to the driveway and street address requirements. We will obviously require Suffolk County Department of Health Services approval. And then the applicant may proceed to the final stage. He's submitted all the requirements. So I have some language to add to that. I shall rush down and do that and bring it back up for your approval. Is that how that works?
Oh, we can prove it.
All right,
Act on it.
Okay.
well, I just want to make sure those changes are in so that they're filed properly
Okay.
Pre-application.
with the, so that we don't miss a beat here.
Okay.
Pre-application, so. Just throw it in the report.
Any other questions then at this time?
I'll move to
You
adopt.
had this highlighted, Seth. Anything for any reason?
That's because it was for myself. I should have taken it.
Oh, okay, not for us. So you're going to, well, you know what, we'll prove it, but can you bring it up?
Yeah.
Can you bring up the, what,
Certainly.
thanks. So we're voting on this now.
Yeah.
Motion by Dennis,
Second.
second by Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
Thank
Are you
you all.
more on the agenda? Seth, are you finished? So you can do that change.
Yes, front loaded today.
Anthony, you are 1456 SRR.
Yes, so I did speak with the Pine Barrens, and I did speak with the applicants, and when you asked me at last meeting if this would be enough time, the correct answer would have been no. So we gotta do one more extension
One
until
more
May 8th,
extension.
2025.
To when, Anthony?
May 8th, I have everything now, I just,
Okay, motion to extend to May 8th by Kate, second by Gloria, and all in favor. Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Claire, you want to do Chrysler Dodge? Claire here? Yeah.
I'll read around.
Hi.
So we're look at the Chrysler Dodge
Right.
staff report. It's pretty focused. This is building elevation changes.
Right.
So did that. But there has been a discussion about the cross access,
Cross-access, yeah.
right? So Rivian came in with a site plan to the east that was approved. Brenna's gonna do it. Great. Perfect. And that was approved, and they have a building permit pending. They're pending, and they're working on the sites.
So they've changed their cross access that's amenable to Chrysler.
Did you guys have, I'm sorry, your name for the record?
Maria
Thank you. Maria
Matisse.
Matisse.
M-A-T-T-E-I-S.
Here, copies.
E-I-S.
Yes. So did you all meet with the Rivian group and sort it out?
So I know that there's been discussions with them, and the last that I spoke to Rivian was that this design was acceptable to what they want to do.
So I've been talking to all the entities.
You have, Claire. Yes.
Yes.
Good.
So this is on page 3 at the top. They talk about traffic access, and I put cross access in it. So the subject site, if you can look, has active cross access with the property to the west, which is Hampton Coffee, and to the north, which is the one you had just recently done, 35, which is the new BMW. And then the site to the east of that, or going east on that to Audi. So they're all connected. And this site had a future cross access to the east. And so there was the ability to trigger that cross access, and that was done at the beginning of this year. So the previous iteration was to have the connection go simply across the vacant piece of property that has those lovely cars parked on it.
Yes, right, parking lot.
To connect to and eliminate a couple spaces. So in
Over the back and then down, yeah.
over the back and then through that parcel, through their existing
Right.
aisles. The alternative is this, which runs down the west of that vacant piece of property, partially on their property, and then connecting into the fire lane
In the front.
that is existing. Now, the change to that is that the original site plan, this is to facilitate that there's going to be no exit from Rivian, only entrance.
Right.
So the original one was to allow both in and out of this connection. This one, as you're seeing, just facilitates the one way, and I think we do still want the two-way with this. So it will just, you just have to increase it to 20 feet, and that will facilitate.
So traffic coming from the west can turn into the Rivian site from 27, but they have to exit only that exit way through the cross access.
The only exit will be through this,
Right.
which you're seeing before you right now.
But the entrance that they would take coming from the east going west is in and out?
You could do in and out, but
That defeats it, yeah. No.
we are
Just in,
just in.
I would think, right?
I'm sorry, on the Rivian property, is that what you're talking about? Yes, it's only in.
Yeah.
It's only in.
In from the east.
Yeah, and from the
Either-
east.
I- that it's just an ingress. It's not going to have any egress coming from that site, and that was the
That's
issue.
simpler, yeah.
That is the issue. This cross access though would be facilitate both in and out, just in
Yeah.
case.
Okay, so
you know,
someone-
if you're coming from the Hampton Coffee property, you want to go to the Rivian, then you're going in and out. So that's the only change that we're going to have on this plan going forward. There's a timing issue. Obviously, Rivian has to come in, and we did invite the Rivian people here. Although this is not a public section, but I think you'd be amenable if they wanted to say something. I have talked to them. They have no problems with
they're
this.
okay with
It's a timing issue, though. They would love to be open by June.
They're working now.
Yeah, so we're going to get plans. They'll have to come in and ask for the amendment to allow this to happen. And they probably won't be able to actually build this because it will take a couple months, obviously, to build it. So I suggested they possibly put up a performance bond for the amounts. And then it would be a very temporary 3-month performance bond where they'd have to build it really quickly.
So we're gonna be issuing C of O to Rivian? How are we gonna get in and out of this site?
It's going to actually, I had to go back to, Mr. Decker and say, can you allow that temporary, what you have already approved connection to happen? He agreed to a 3-month approval, and then everybody is interested in getting this done. He'll agree to sign the documents, the approvals. You'll have an approved plan before any CO.
Good, okay.
Good.
So
But
the
yes.
3 months, they'll go behind the building and then out straight, the way
Right.
we originally asked them to do it.
Exactly, and then everybody has an interest to make sure this
Great.
road is built. There'll be a bond for the amount, so they'll be on the hook.
When are
And,
they gonna
we'll
start,
get
Claire?
this done.
It's almost May 1.
They are virtually
They're
done.
working, are they?
Yes. So
Because there's fencing up around the whole
yeah,
property.
they're getting pushed. They're going for the
Putting in
June.
their charging stations and all
Yeah.
that.
Yep, they've had the 5 months to work on it.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So I think this is a good compromise. Obviously, you'll be seeing Rivian to finalize those documents in the next couple weeks.
Good. Well, it's good that Decker gave the 3-month
Mm-hmm. So
alternative.
they have a request because they're doing the improvements to the building itself,
Right.
and I just want to just show you very quickly. They're good. It's like an update. The signage was a question for the ARB, so they're holding that as abeyance because they just want to make sure that the sizes work. So you can see the
Oh, yeah.
signage.
It's a
The
broad-
building itself, though, is good. It's got this bamboo feature there, so it's an update. So I think they want to start to ask for a building permit to be issued. No objection to you. And they're asking for today. Obviously, I haven't written anything up. But,
What is the bamboo? What is that?
yeah, it's like a
I'm pretty sure it's the
Do you have-
ACF with like bamboo. It's
bamboo
written down
look?
Do you
here.
have a sample or a,
I don't have a
something?
sample with me now.
is it wood?
that's a wood curing. That's what they described in the ARB.
And the ARB didn't ask to see anything?
No. Their major concern was that the Jeep sign was like 10 inches larger than the other signs. So
It
just
is,
to bring
yeah.
it down to the 2 feet that all the other signs were about the size of. And they were okay with everything else, the ACF panels, the colors, the everything.
Well, if you have some samples, it would be appreciated to bring them in. So we have them on the record, what you're doing.
I can ask for samples.
Yeah,
So we can do that for the May 8th meeting. I'll
Yeah.
write something up.
Yeah.
Okay. And it'll have, go ahead.
Claire, while we're on signage, have you made provisions for the Rivian to have some sort of signage at their entrance? Because otherwise, people are not going to know that's how you get to Rivian. They're going to go to the intersection and say, oh, there it is. Let's start doing U-turns on Montauk
yeah,
Highway.
they need 2 signs. They need
You
one
need
on
some sort of a node at that entrance with a low Rivian
Rivian entrance.
arrow.
2 Rivian entrances, right? One on County Road 27.
Well, this is the main one because, yeah, coming from the east, they'll know.
Coming from the
there'll be-
east, there'll be a sign.
There'll be a sign and they'll know where they're going.
Rivian.
But coming from the west, their GPS is, the blue dot is gonna be sitting up there and they're gonna be driving, looking at their blue dot like everyone does. And they're not gonna know that their
They can get
entrance to
in.
Rivian is 2 site planes down from the blue dot.
Right.
So we're gonna need some sort of sign.
And
Yeah,
all
well,
ju-
they're coming in for the modification, so there's no
Okay.
doubt.
So
As
all-
long as this applicant has made provisions for some sort of sign,
Ground
I don't know how
sign.
that mechanism is. Is it
Are we still having, I thought we'd still have Montauk Highway be the main entrance, though.
It is.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So, and there is a turning lane
Our
there,
concern
right?
is traffic coming from the west heading east.
If you're on 39 and you want to go into the entrance by here, the
That's no
alternative
problem.
entrance,
Yeah.
it has to have some sign to say to Rivian, some way, you know?
That's definitely a different animal. I just think
Right?
that Montauk is going to be your main entrance to the property.
I don't believe there's a center turn lane if that's on Montauk Highway. On
Yeah.
39 there is, but not on.
The traffic coming from the west has to enter through this site. They're not gonna be able to, that's the whole intent, that was the whole idea.
Well, yeah, you could have a sign on the vacant piece
on
which would say
the Jeep property.
entrance
To Rivian,
to Rivian.
Not
Yes,
the
some
vacant piece.
direction to people.
on their site.
On their
I
sign.
think it has to be on their side because it's it's
It
a
has to be.
temporary alternative entrance, the temporary, right? That's how you can get into Rivian from 39. If you're traveling along 39, you want to go into Rivian, and you don't want to use the Montauk one. Our
Which you
idea
don't.
was to enter from 39 across this property.
Yes, that's the
But you
whole
have to have
idea.
some kind of sign that says to Rivian, you know?
Even
No,
if it's
I
not
hear
like the main entrance,
Rivian,
it would, yeah, the main entrance would be through Rivian, but you guys want the sign
Something,
on your
on
property.
property as well, even
Just-
though we're
Don't
not.
discourage people on 39 from making them around.
Wouldn't have to be a big
back.
sign,
just
Left into your
something
property.
mounted on the lawn.
Because
you
we
know.
don't have the
ground
access over
sign.
here.
some sort of a small, very low sign with Rivian and an arrow. They're not gonna know. They're gonna use their GPS, Rivian's way up the road, we're doing fine, and then there they are. Oh, how are we gonna get into this place?
And then they're
Oh,
gonna
there's the
cross
entrance.
over and we'll
Let's-
have an
Let's hit our
accident.
brake and do the convoluted U-turn and
We do need some signage for direction.
are we at action deadline on this?
No, this one, this is Chrysler.
Yeah,
So
Chrysler.
this one just had a public hearing at the last meeting, so we have until,
So
Okay,
I
but
think.
that's something to think about, providing some sort of
Yeah.
area where we could have,
Temporary.
and, you know, signage.
it wouldn't be temporary, it would be a permanent sign.
Yeah, it'd be permanent. It's always gonna
Low
be
on
that.
the ground.
Are we basically saying that going east, you want everybody to go in through this, not through,
Yeah, because they can't.
not through 27?
Right,
But it's so
correct.
basically,
whole
it
idea.
could just be an easement, and then Rivian could decide how to, just like we did with the property in Hampton Bays, where part of the sign was encroaching on their property, so that you could just say, oh yeah, they can put a sign there, but Rivian will implement that.
Well, I mean, I have no
Here's Rivian.
idea, I don't
They're
know,
here- they're on,
any
so
idea
how
how
would
he's
Hi.
gonna do that.
Welcome.
Hello, thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry to jump in. It's Joe Papero, Rivian's land use attorney. We also have Rivian's in-house counsel on the call. And Claire, we appreciate the opportunity just to weigh in since the application that was approved is being discussed. My question is really on the clarity about the 3 months. I wasn't understanding exactly what the 3-month time period that you suggested. What was the 3 months for?
That you'd have to perform the work. If you don't, you could complete the work by the June and you could get a CO, but if you need more time to complete the work for the cross-access, 3 month is what's being recommended by the Chryslers.
My concern to that 3 months is that requires us
Actually,
to.
we can't, let's not discuss that issue right now. That's a down the road issue. But right now, we're discussing the Chrysler project, okay? So.
Okay, I just
We're not
understand.
discussing your application right now, we're discussing cross-access.
And, okay, this cross-access is in a different location than where our cross-access was.
Right, and so that will be discussing your application at the time of that
Are they coming in next
modification.
week? Are they coming in next week? No.
At the next meeting, if they want to be open by the end of June, they should.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my concern, that this could delay our opening to no fault of ours. Chrysler is not agreeing to the cross-access that this board approved. And I'm not sure why we should be delayed. I mean, we'll do everything we can to accommodate it, but this is a bit unfair that this board approved Rivian's plan, and now the second party to this cross-access is essentially holding us up, from what I'm hearing. I didn't think this was going to delay our opening. We're going to work in good faith with the town to amend it for Chrysler's benefit, since they're not willing to provide the cross-access where the approval is. But
Yeah, but
we
they
shouldn't
will
be
They
penalized.
will for a certain period of time. Correct?
Or will we be able to be open, is what we're concerned about.
On a temporary, yes.
Yeah, the cross-access that we originally approved, right, going over the back and then down, you'll be able to use that for about 3 months?
That's what.
Yeah, while the other portion that the other cross-access is being constructed, cleared and built. So you'll have that, so you'll be able to, we were just talking about a small sign that directs people to you from 39.
Okay, that was the clarity I was looking for. So we can continue on our path to opening and then simultaneously pursue this alternate location.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, we don't need to secure the new location before we can open. That was the chicken and the egg
we'll
that I
have
was
the
looking
alternate,
for.
the way we originally designed it.
Yeah.
We can proceed with that and then,
Yeah,
Yeah, you'll be allowed to open under.
Decker gave a
with the
3-month,
For 3 months,
Yeah.
as long as,
the other
we're
is being
able
built.
to go for our permit with,
It's quid pro quo.
understanding that we have no vested rights until a decision is made. But he really wants to be able to apply for our exterior application so that we can just,
Right,
start that process.
okay,
As long as we can get that approval from you guys, then he said he's okay with the 3 months.
okay, good.
Okay. And then it's clear that the board wants some kind of signage on the
Yeah.
rest of the
Yeah.
property.
We're gonna need some sort of
Right.
signage.
If
Or
it's just a
temporary
A
simple-
sign, a
Yeah.
nice,
Did
What are
you
the
want them in
regulations that you guys want for that?
They should
really?
come in for the modification in the next meeting.
Are you able to come in with your clients, sir?
can you come in next, May 8th?
as soon as we can put together a plan that's satisfactory for the board showing the new location that Chrysler's proposing, we'll move as quickly as we can, but we know with public hearings, there's a schedule that you need to keep. So we'll do everything we can on our part, but we just don't, we're not aware of what the board.
It's regular session.
No, it's a work session and we
It's
can
with us.
discuss this plan that you've just received, I think yesterday. We can discuss this plan in more detail, showing a two-way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll square it away.
But I
Can
think
you
we should
come
have a
in May
meeting.
8th? Can you come in May 8th?
That's our
May
next,
8th, it's
that's
our
our
next
next
meeting.
meeting.
We'll do, yeah, absolutely. We'll take
Okay, good.
anything that's available to move it along and to accommodate what
Great.
they're asking for.
You'll be on the schedule.
Okay,
Thank you.
You're gonna come in with a sample for the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll try to
I
get
will
the samples
do
for
the,
that.
I will do a resolution for allowing them to proceed, no vested rights. And then we'll have both applications next to each other so we can discuss them, everybody, the party.
Because
Do you
we just
need
keep
anything
going
else
back.
on yours?
No, it's just we just want to make sure that you guys will give us permission to start our permits for signs on the building and our exterior application. And then we could still discuss this in the meantime, but we've just been waiting months to start
Yeah,
our
yeah.
process.
No,
So if you guys are okay with that,
You
I
have the
would
signs
greatly
made already,
appreciate it.
ready to put
Yeah,
up?
really. But
Yeah, I mean,
May
that's
I
pretty
go back to
straightforward.
square one for a moment?
Uh-huh.
This new cross-access shows me where it's coming into the Chrysler property, but how are they navigating?
They're coming.
is this accurate? If I show this?
Yeah.
Here.
County Road 39.
Yeah, when they come here, where do they go?
It's the side of the
perfect.
building, and they go down the side of Chrysler. You know where the trees are right now.
She's got a nice
If you-
red
and then
version.
the
Yeah, so
front,
it's just highlighted. This is easier to see.
Because I think that was your concern.
I don't know if that makes it easier for you.
Where's,
The red arrows are the directions of the traffic.
I thought you didn't want them to come into the front of the building.
No, that's how they do it.
No, it was the rear of the building that was the problem. That's what we changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for 3 months, they're gonna be able to use that rear.
Yes.
So they
I-
come
I-
here down the side of
Okay,
Chrysler.
I remembered it.
And then
I
this
thought
way.
it was the opposite way.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
So they can walk for coffee there. too. Thanks. So you'll get Claire what she needs?
Yeah, and I'm, actually, it's not even you giving permission, I can do a decision.
Yeah,
Okay, awesome.
Cause,
it's pretty straightforward,
Yeah.
the signs, yeah.
yeah, so we'll give a decision.
But just,
We'll base it on this plan.
I'll give you
We'll
that
show
back in
two-way,
case you need it.
location for the sign.
Because I won't keep it.
All right, no problem. Thank
okay,
you.
good. Good.
Great,
Thank
and so,
you.
yeah, no action.
Okay, so next week they'll be, Claire, May 8th also?
May
Yeah.
Would we, for the So your application would be able to file like as soon as possible with that, or?
Next week.
We're gonna do Ukraine.
Yeah, that you have to line up the plans too, so yeah, we
But
can
this
talk
would-
about that, we can talk. Possible, very possible.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Are you clear?
What, yeah, okay, thank you.
Bridgehampton Commons, Target?
Thank you.
Hi, come up, thanks.
Thank you.
You always have to give us a full day, isn't it something?
It's a nice trip, pleasant board to be in front of.
Thank you.
Brian Kennedy for the applicant.
It's a beautiful
You
day.
got the little copy, right?
It's a beautiful day. Unfortunately, we're inside.
Where do you come from?
Thank you.
I was in, we have a Hauppauge office and a Uniondale office, so it's in Hauppauge.
Your hot pot, closer.
Yes.
So after a couple meetings of approving signage and all that stuff, this is really basically down to the parking. And this can also, actually, didn't write it like this, but it can also be your ZBA report if you want it to be. Because they have an application, there should be 3, oh, there's 2 more copies too. Those are the small versions, these are the big.
Okay, all right. Do you need a small one? I'll share a big one.
Yeah,
Do you
I'll
have a
share
small one? Do you have a small one,
They have
Tom?
a small one.
Okay.
So basically it comes down to, I had to dig up all the approvals and look at everything you've done on the site. So the site has 1,253 parking spaces for the both properties. When you did the addition to TJ Maxx, the addition had to provide the additional parking, and that's been done. It's in the form of a land bank series of parking on the north
Yes.
side.
There's
So
still no handicap parking in the back.
there's still no handicap parking in the back, so offer handicap parking in the back as a condition of
No,
approval.
I'm talking about TJ Maxx.
Well, this is the same property, so we can have handicap parking in the back.
Every time I leave King Cullen to go home, I look. It's still not there.
And that's just a matter of if it was shown on the original site plan or not, I can't remember. We can do that. So with the reconfiguration to allow these pickup spaces, they'd lose 6 spaces essentially. And so they'd have to go to the zoning board of appeals to get relief from that difference. And that's what they're gonna
They
go to
do.
the zoning- Yes.
The application has been submitted. We hope to be before them. Couple weeks.
Anthony sits on that. No, doesn't sit on the board, but he's the
our
planning
guy.
consultant.
You know, give or take.
Hoping for the middle of May.
Yes, yeah.
You have a report though
No.
that's gonna go to the zoning board on this one, Claire?
Yes.
The pre-app?
This will be the reports. I'm gonna, do you have any special issues? Do you want a
Do you
parking
have signs, you have little signs that say, Target pickup or?
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
If you recall, when we were before you, we presented all of those signs. Both the board and Claire asked us to remove some of the lettering along those signs, which we did. I'm just trying to think what else there was with the signage. We reduced the size of the overall sign.
You did? Good.
Oh, we did, yes,
Good, good,
yes.
Good.
That was the only way we
Good.
could secure this
And I think it's
approval.
really going to look good in white up there. Really be smart.
It'll look good.
And the balls will be gray.
Oh, I see there was a public comment, no red bollards.
Yes, public comments. So there you go.
On that note, the public comment, we did have a public hearing on this. We've had several appearances before you.
Yes.
Assuming we secure the relief we need from the Zoning Board of Appeals, which will also have a public hearing, I know that it is in your ability to waive a public hearing for the site plan application. Is that something this board would be willing to entertain?
For the site plan? I haven't
There's no
reviewed
public
it.
interest.
I don't think so. I think
You've
fine,
you've
yeah.
had the
Yeah.
public has had ample opportunity.
Ample opportunity.
The
2
only interest
here.
I've heard is in getting the store open.
The reason I asked for this.
So we'll waive it with,
They know that.
we'll waive it with a 30-day written.
My wife's in the parking lot waiting.
You open for the busy October season. No.
Holiday shopping is
July 4th?
We would.
Memorial Day? You're shooting for Memorial Day?
No.
No. July 4th.
We,
You have a lot of interior work to do?
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
We would love to be open by the end of the summer. I don't know. We'll work our best to get there.
Well,
Trust me, the applicant wants it more than you guys
the
do.
local people would appreciate it for the holidays.
So would the applicant, right? I want to be honest with you. I don't know that that's
Well, the work on the
feasible timeline.
pads in the back, that started already, because I drove by.
And
Yeah.
you had the front of the store all closed down with big Tonka toys about a month ago. What were you doing there? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know. I suspect they're, I don't know, actually. I can find out for you.
Yeah, I mean, I shop there weekly, so.
I'll find out for you.
So Claire, parking, so because they are eliminating 6 spaces, has to go to the ZBA.
Yes.
So all the language from that ZBA, is that the overall parking calculations?
Yeah, I put it in the report and I gave those numbers to the ZBA also, so they're working off the same numbers.
Those are interesting numbers that you got pulled together, yeah.
You did make a comment regarding the parking study that should be required. If you guys recall, we had Ethan Shakowski from TPD Engineering who spoke to you at one of these hearings. He's prepared a parking
Analysis.
study that we will submit to
Oh,
you
good.
with the full site plan.
Okay, perfect. Well, it's really for the
ZBA
ZBA.
and to the ZBA.
Yeah.
But it's good to have
I think
a
so.
record of all the parking here.
Yeah, and I mean.
Tenants
have-
change, you
Yeah,
know.
have you calculated all the parking spaces that have been taken by shopping carts and from the other stores in the.
The shopping carts, the only
And
shopping carts.
then there's some of those pickup places for the drugstore and for the supermarket, at least that I'm aware of.
And they are still function as parking spaces.
They're
They're
open
open for
public.
parking spaces, they're just to have a sign in front of them.
Yeah, they have a sign that
Yeah.
says don't park there.
Yeah, exactly. The only entity that I know of is King Cullen, but even that, I don't recall that they have shopping cart areas.
They do have corrals.
They do, okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
and the back,
I don't know
lot.
that, I'd have to look at the old site plan.
This lot, Claire, this little lot back here.
There's
They have
actually,
corrals.
there's corrals in the
Front
front.
too, I
Yeah.
can't remember, but they should have them.
That will be probably part of their analysis, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So should I say you have no objections as long as they submit an analysis with the applicant, the ZBA?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. And you're on the ZBA agenda?
Not just yet.
I haven't heard anything yet.
Claire
We're
and Candace
good.
have been very helpful with that.
Okay, great. That's it?
Yes, so for your consideration, it'll be both those.
So we're adopting this
Are we
with the
adopting this,
change
please?
to a 30-day written comment period, not the public hearing, right?
Oh, no, that describes the pre-submission. At the end, it's gonna say, due to the scope of the project, the planning board may waive, the application if there's no public interest. Waive a hearing if there's no public.
Okay, great.
And then I'm going to add about the handicapped spaces in the rear of the site plan. We'd want those instituted, some handicapped spaces in
Yeah,
that
but
area.
that's nowhere near the entrance to Target.
It's not, but it's on the site plan. It's the same property.
Okay,
Yeah, so we can have them have handicap spaces there.
okay.
In the
Yeah.
rear of the building?
In
Where
the-
the loading, truck
in the
loading
re-
is?
No.
No.
On the
By TJ Maxx.
TJ Maxx, Marshalls,
Marshalls.
Yeah.
that entrance.
Oh,
needs
that one, yeah.
Just
Okay.
handicap spaces right next to the entrance. It's only 20 spaces back there, so choose one space doesn't need
Right.
no issues. Okay, great.
And where will the handicap spaces be for Target?
Right in the
Right in the
front.
front.
So you look at the entrance, they're right there, and then the pickup spots are just to the east of that
Okay.
on the site plan that you have in front of you. Okay.
So are we taking a vote on this? Claire?
Please.
Motion to adopt by Kate, second by Gloria, and all in favor. Opposed, abstentions. 6 in favor, 1 absent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon.
You too, and a good drive back. Okay,
You're gonna be in the trade parade.
yes.
Cones are up. Yep.
Okay, Claire, West Hampton Beach Yacht Squadron.
Yes, this is an easy one.
Hi, Jim, how are ya?
Hi, Jim, how are you?
323 Mill Road, West Hampton.
I hear the movie theater just opened, or opening. Yeah, it's an article in the paper.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah,
Last
Did
weekend.
you get one too?
Yes.
up and running again.
Yeah.
Might need one.
He's out now
Plethora
until
of
6
movie
o'clock.
theaters now. The one in Hampton Bays didn't close, and we've got one in Southampton.
Got a lot of movies now.
That's okay. It's a good diversion.
Gets you away from streaming on the TV.
The proposal is to, on the site for the yacht squadron, which is a marina, a private marina, is to.
Do you want to just hold it up?
Yeah. I'll hold it up, is to take, remove the existing sanitary system and to build a new AI system with, grass pavers above it? Is
Yes,
that- okay,
that's correct.
exactly, so.
That's it?
Yep, and because it's a wetlands permit also,
Oh, okay.
that's why we have it, the review.
In front of us,
Yes,
yeah.
And
exactly.
it's also smack in the middle of the parking lot, so we have to, part of this plan is to get approved the parking lot, which will sit on top of the system. We got a wonderful grant from the town
Did you?
to build it, so
Great.
we're excited to be able to spend it.
CPF money being used.
Yes, absolutely.
So on the referrals with this application, town engineer, fire marshal, and conservation, town engineer had some changes to the plan, so they'll have to update that for plans for signature, so that'll be a condition. The fire marshal, typical requirements, and also a bollard protection for the existing propane tanks, so that'll be a condition. And then conservation supports the project, basically, with their conditions.
I like the grass paver idea. That's
It's
good.
great. So it's a type 2 action, so the planning board will approve the expedited wetlands permit application. And then the planning board will approve the expedited site plan application with the changes to the site plan, which is note the vehicle impact protection, bollards, provide area disturbance, provide erosion and sediment control plans, provide detail on grass pavers, and the general conditions, which is proposed work shall not impede emergency vehicles. Drains, manhole covers located in proposed grass paver area shall be capable of supporting heavy apparatus. 3-foot clearance shall be maintained around utilities. Vehicle impact protection, key boxes, town engineer approval, and the affidavit in 6 sets of plans.
Do we want any project limiting fence here anyway?
There will be.
There will be?
yes,
As part of the-
yes. I think it's actually shown on the plans, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And in our bid spec, which you don't have, part of what we're looking for bid on is for including that.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you want me just to note it?
Yeah, just
Okay.
make a note.
I think it's on there, but I'll put it under the general conditions too.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. For your consideration.
Any other questions on the board?
No.
Okay, motion to adopt. Motion by Tom, second by Kate, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? 5 in favor, 2 absent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good to see you all.
You too.
See you at the movies.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay. Anthony,
Hamptons Collective. So this is 257 County Route 39A. It's in North Sea. This is at not far, you got North Main Street, and this is just to the east there. That's the old Mecox Gardens site.
yes, yep,
So
yep.
actually, really nice site there. Everything's pretty well hidden and well landscaped. It's a good site plan. This is actually to utilize some of the space in one of the buildings for a cannabis retailer. Got the square footage, but it wasn't too big. It was around 2,600 square feet. So it's under the 4,000, which puts it as a type 2 action. I have the engineer's review. The engineer has said everything's complete in his review. They provided everything to us. They gave us the traffic report. I had the applicant come in with their traffic engineer to just, again, discuss what some of the findings were. And if anybody had any questions, we seem to be getting a lot of the same sort of data that's coming out. But as we're doing these, it's good to have them come here and talk about what they.
Do we have a report?
This is just completeness, ultimately.
Oh, it's for
Yeah,
completeness.
so I just brought them in so they could discuss the traffic component of it before we.
Okay, great.
And it wouldn't be a meeting.
Right,
if I
because
didn't
there's
have
no
a question.
action. We're doing a secret review next week.
No, that's the other one. That one has to get secret because it's over 4,000 square feet. This one's 2,600, so no secret on this one.
So it's 2,600, but the overall building is a lot more than that.
That's not what's being changed. What's being changed is internally on two of the existing buildings.
Okay, it's an internal change.
Yep.
May I have your names for the records, please? I know.
David Gilmartin, Greenberg, Trorig.
Matthew Elward with R&M Engineering.
That's our civil engineer.
And then Key and Cody with R&M Engineering.
Traffic
Oh,
engineer.
Okay, good.
So he's the guy that gets all the questions.
Yep, usually.
I had a quick question that's not traffic or engineering related. I recall as we've been getting these applications, there was some regulation with Office of Cannabis Management about multiple uses in the same building, and I just don't recall exactly what that was.
Our uses are compatible. The two uses
Okay.
are
Yeah,
compatible.
there's no
It's like
residential uses.
retail kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
Which is,
Thank you.
Which is part of the reason why the town authorized them in highway business and shopping center district.
I see. Okay, thank you.
There are some highway business, like you can't have a liquor store.
Right, there was
Store,
one
that type of thing, but these are compatible.
application, I think, along County Road 39, where they proposed multiple uses in the same space, which was
They were
not
talking
allowable.
about
Same
food,
building, I
maybe.
think it's.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the one that's alcohol by Carvel.
Right, okay, thank you.
They were gonna use it for two different things, and they decided.
And then the other side of it is the town zoning side, which we regulate it by number of uses based on the size of the property and everything. So, so in this case, the number of uses was okay.
You can't have a candy store and ice cream parlor in the same building, but you could replace an ice cream parlor with a cannabis dispensary.
Good to know.
Okay, so we're gonna go over the traffic report, correct? Yeah.
And I just had a couple of quick questions.
Okay, so
Wouldn't be
how
a
about
meeting
just
if I
an
didn't have a
overview?
question.
Yeah, just give us an overview.
So the project is a 666 square foot dispensary. We are providing 32 parking spaces, where 30 are being required, so we don't need a parking variance. We did traffic counts in August of 2024. We did them on Friday the 2nd and Saturday the 3rd. They were done between 9:30 and 6:30, so pretty much the entire working day. We did 4 intersections. We did David White Lane at 39A, North Main at 39A, and then the 2 driveways with the existing site. We analyzed 4 time periods: a weekday, midday, weekday PM, which is 11 to 2 for the midday, and then 3 to 6 for the PM. And then we did the same thing on Saturday, the 11 to 2 and the 3 to 6, to get sort of that lunch and then PM, not really lunch, but the midday and the PM time periods.
What month was this?
August.
Okay, thank you.
We did then what we normally do, which is increase the traffic volumes that we saw by an ambient growth factor specific to the town of Southampton, except in this case, because I know the board likes to try to account for other planned projects in the area, I upped that rate, that normally it's 1.9%. I upped it to 2.5 and then added an additional year of growth onto there. So we studied 3 years in the future with a higher growth rate to try to account for anything, to the east and west that would increase the ambient traffic volumes. We've already met with the Suffolk County DPW because it is a county road, and we have adjusted the access from the initial plan based off their feedback, and that's what we've presented, which is the western driveway, because the site has 2 driveways, one to the east and one to the west. The western driveway is going to be a right turn out only, so no entering traffic and no left turns exiting, and then the further driveway from the signal, the eastern driveway, is going to be full access. So lefts and rights in and left and right out. And across the street, well, in the center of the street, we have that 2-way left turn lane. And then we have a few hundred feet down the road, the North Main light. So that's the site in general.
Can't you get out to North Main, north of County Road 39?
Right, where you would prevent the left turn out.
So,
then.
yes,
access.
yeah, so there'd be no left turn out.
Yeah. There's left turnout at the further driveway.
No, I'm saying not at all on County Road 39.
Because if you have cross access
Cross-access.
with the western property, they could get out to the signal.
Yeah, and then make a left from the signal.
Is that an approved cross-access, Jim?
I'm not entirely sure. Have to look at that. But as I told the applicant, this no left turn thing is sort of.
Yeah, I
standard now.
mean, we,
Let me look at the site plans. As you
because
know,
if there's good cross-access, that's
I'd love
ideal.
to get out to North Main Street.
Yeah, I mean, I
There
think we
was-
sort of discussed that briefly earlier on in our conversations.
There was a requirement in a prior application. I haven't been able to verify whether that was actually filed or not.
Right.
There are challenges with cross-access that, as we work through this, we'll have to try and figure out based on the improvements on either side of.
There's only one property right to your west.
Oh.
There's a barn
There's two that
What's-
extend.
what is that in the rear, Anthony?
This actually is.
That's not part of the.
No,
oh,
this
it's
is,
a
this
separate
is,
lot?
you know,
Krupinski
they're probably part of the
property?
site, but it's
It's in
different
the
property.
front, I think.
Both. The Krupinskis have both.
Both?
Oh, there you go.
The ownership on the back one, I'm not sure what it is today, but it shows up on everything as Bonnie,
Krupinski.
Ben's wife. But, you know, I don't know how they are today, but I think they've kept those checkerboarded. So that's the challenge with the improvements on our property along that line and the improvements next door may interfere with a cross-access. I don't know how far you want to get to the back because there's a residential lot behind us. But we'll work through that issue with you.
Yeah, would be ideal,
Let's take a look
easy
and see
for
what we
you.
have. If we have things in place, let's take a look at it, because I don't think anybody going to any of the businesses, they have an ability to get to a light. I try to.
That
do it
is
when I can.
golden if you can get to a light.
So we'll look at it, Dave, as part of the process.
Absolutely.
Well, one of my questions was whether you had shared this with Suffolk County
Yeah,
DPW.
we did that very early on in the process, I want to say months ago. We knew it was going to be something that we wanted to discuss with them. So we went through, and that's how we have decided on the access that's pretty.
We knew it was going to be an issue with you,
Yeah.
frankly.
Yeah, we didn't want to come in here blind, which is why we went to the county.
And hopefully, the consultants working on the County Road 39 corridor study are looking at the stuff, you know, all of the planned projects along
It's
39.
It's a
so.
pretty big reconfiguration from the existing conditions.
Yeah, right now, I think you can, I don't think they're restricted at all, the existing driveways, but there's also not that much traffic going in and out of the site right now.
Right, well, and that was like a couple of my other questions was, you know, and again, I think, you know, you did a really nice report and everything, so thank you for that. Now, the David White's and the North Main Street, you did look at the accidents at those intersections. And it's always interesting to point out, and you point, you know, most of them are rear end accidents, which are generally congestion related, and everybody thinks traffic signals make everything safer, but it's not always
Don't.
true.
No, they don't.
My little
Especially
preaching, but
when yellow means go fast.
exactly faster. I assume there were no accidents at the site driveway. You would have
Not that came up when we looked, at least nothing that's.
right. So no left turnout or anything
Nothing, yeah,
identified.
and when we did the counts, it was only like 1 or 2 cars coming out of those driveways, so.
It's pretty low volume. Yeah.
I'll continue on. We mentioned through the accidents. We looked at even though we don't need the parking variance, we did look at the Institute of Transportation Engineers who does now have a marijuana dispensary land use code, which we looked at their parking data and their trip generation data for the parking, using their data and the existing parking that we saw on the site, and then the sublease tenant, which is just a storage space. It's about 500 square feet. We ended up estimating that it would have 18 vehicles parked, and we're providing the 32 spaces, and then the 30 are required. So parking shouldn't be a problem. We're providing what we believe is a more than comfortable amount of parking.
What is the reference to the parking by the cannabis?
Let's see. Like
That's
the-
interesting.
the
They have their
require-
own.
Category.
They have their own.
Yeah, it's land use code 882. It's marijuana dispensary, and it's based off of studies in Massachusetts, Colorado, California, and all fairly recent. I think 2010 and up.
New York State. This
No,
isn't.
no,
No, it's
no.
federal.
Yeah, federal. It's nationwide data.
It's Massachusetts, Colorado, and I forget the third state he just said.
California.
Thank you.
And I think even before the 2010s, I think those were probably the only states I think where it was legal.
Well, Colorado, I
that's
know
what it
was
was
an
based on.
early.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
because
interesting. We should get a copy of that. Right?
The data, the
Yeah,
calculation
yeah,
data. I think
yeah.
some of it's in here.
of
You
it's
show
in
some
there.
of it.
I mean, if you'd like to,
Of course, those areas
And
are
we
both a
can-
bit larger, right, than us.
Join the Institute of Traffic
yes,
Engineers and
it's
get them
very,
all.
it's pretty simple to join, and you can
Is
get
it?
access to the yeah. It's like buying a textbook essentially,
Huh.
and then you just get your
Get one
reference.
top.
These folks and everybody that comes in uses that
Uses
for all the
that.
different,
It
you know,
is the
retail
industry
and,
standard.
you know,
There
right,
is-
it's-
600 land use codes in it, something like that. You know, a lot.
But we always believe that we are not the standard area. You know, East End of Long
We're
Island is
s- we're-
unique.
we're special.
Well, that aside, we're not typical of, I mean, in New York State even, we're not upstate, you know?
Well, and it's in your report, and I've seen it before, Long Island does have a much higher accident rate than the rest of the state.
Yes.
Which,
Yeah,
you know, so we're special in that way.
yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So the IT rating is based to calculate the parking, right?
Parking, and it also is how we figure out traffic as well.
Right.
So, and it's based off just studies that are submitted by other engineering firms and other groups. They submit it after it's been verified to the Institute of Transportation Engineers.
Mm-hmm.
They review everything, collate it, organize it by category of, you know, if it's a retail use, if it's batting cages or anything like that, and then they create rates based off various independent variables. For instance, if you have apartments, they have dwelling units, they have number of residents. If it's a retail use, they have square footage, you know, things like that. Even fueling stations, they have number of pumps, number of fueling positions, if it has a convenience store or not, things like that. So they are pretty comprehensive, and they are what, as Tom said, the industry standard. It's what everybody uses.
Yeah.
And it's essentially, you know, the only way to really do it.
Can you pull a traffic study through AI?
I haven't tried. It would be very weird to do.
Because all the data's there.
Maybe.
It's all there, right?
I mean, there is a lot of human decision that has to go into it.
Right.
But they're supposed to,
Yeah,
they're supposed to be human.
But I don't know if I trust it yet.
Be interesting to try.
It's the prompts, with AI, it's all the prompts, what prompts you put in. If you put in the full amount of prompts, then you
Yeah.
get something that's generally about 50% of the way.
I can say, for the IT at least, I'm sorry.
That's good.
But the IT is starting to try to adjust things even more towards geographical locations.
Oh, good.
In the newer editions, the parking hasn't been updated yet. I believe it's going to be updated this year. They're like the trip generation, if it's available, they will allow you to specify data like Northeast Atlantic region and things like that, but not yet for the small
Do
sources.
they base it on population or registered cars, or what's the baseline?
It's actual studies. So, for instance, for the marijuana dispensary, they actually had people that watched how many cars went in and went out at various dispensaries in those states that I mentioned, recorded the numbers, and submitted that data. So it's all based off real data. That's the
In the field, in the field observations.
Yep.
Counts, yeah, they go out and do, and we've talked, not recently, but in the past, number of times about gas stations, fueling stations.
Yes.
And that actually breaks it out by number of pumps, sometimes it breaks it out by, is it on highway?
yeah, adjacent highway traffic and
Yeah.
things
Right,
like that.
it's
And then
pretty
it
involved.
further does it into different time periods. Like for traffic, we always want to look at the commuter period. So it specifically has an AM commuter block where it creates a rate for that 1 hour period somewhere between 7 and 9
Yeah.
7 p.m. And that's what we use.
Yeah.
So on that note, we also did the trip generation, which is the number of cars going in and out. And for the 2666 square feet, it was about 50 during the weekday midday, 70, 75, then 87. So about 70 to 80 trips is what we'd expect. So that's
Per day.
in a single hour, and it's entering and exiting.
Wow.
But you also have to remember, and I think it's mentioned in the planning memo, realistically, it's probably a bit lower than this because it's a fairly new use. Small amounts of them have been open. As more and more open, traffic will
More
get more and
data,
more spread. It's the
yeah.
same, similar to how like Chick-fil-A, when it was first coming to Long Island, there were only one or two of them, so they got all the traffic. But now that there's a lot more of them, traffic in them has gone down as you get more and more options.
I mean, if we approve all the applications we have, that's why it's gonna be helpful to have a list of where they are and who they are, because I think there's gonna be definitely a reduction in.
You'll see it
Map
gets
them
spread.
out. There must be 6 or 7 applications.
And it helps in this area too, because I believe Riverhead's also opted in, I believe.
They have, and
Yes.
they have
There's one open, right?
So, you know, and most of Long Island, it has been opted in. I think only really Babylon has opted in right now. So everything's concentrated there, where out on the South Fork, you'll have, you know, people that normally might come here can now go to Riverhead instead. So we'll spread that out.
But between here and Montauk, we're the only game in town.
Yeah.
All the
And the
reservations.
Shinnecock
Yeah,
Reservation
except for the-
Shinnecock.
except for
has
the
a major
Shinnecock, and there's
facility.
Yes, Shinnecock has
a plethora of
yeah,
those.
4 or 5 right in a row, I believe, something like that.
Yeah.
So we looked at the trip generation, and what we do is we take that and we distribute it to the intersections that we studied based off the existing traffic patterns and how we think cars are going to come in and come out. And then we evaluate how, with the addition of that traffic, how the delays at the signals change and how the delays at the driveways change. Essentially, we found there's going to be no overall changes in the operation of the intersections. There were small, slight ones, but that's usually because we record at levels of service at like letter grades, like an A, a B, a C, a D. And what happens is, without the traffic, if you're only like a second or two from it going to like a B to C, if you add a little bit more traffic and it switches over, it flags us. But when we look at it, it's only really numerically like a second and a half more. But it hits that break point. So that's really what we saw, was it hit that break point, but none of the delays were over a second or two, really.
Interesting.
And
No, I mean, there's a lot of interesting, at least to some of us, data. when you
Every
talk about
time
our-
reading,
some-
right?
I mean, again, not this application, but when you look at the number of crossing movements at these two intersections you studied.
It's a busy
that's something-
intersection.
They're both very busy intersections to cross County Road
Right.
39, which
There
is
was a supermarket proposed there at one point that just couldn't work secret-wise because of that intersection. It's a big intersection.
but that kind of impacts some of what's being done right up on County Road 39 right now, is that issue of crossing movement.
Is the experimental test that they're doing affect any of this right now?
No,
It's
it
further west. Further
starts
west.
at North Sea Road and goes out to Tuckahoe Road. I mean, we may see some impacts with people jockeying around
Yeah.
through North Main Street. In fact, I saw this morning on GPS, people were using North Main Street to get up and around the congestion in Watermill. They were making the left on, I track it on GPS.
Interesting.
He has a
North on North
restriction
Main.
now.
Pond Road and everything.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So you can actually see some of that, go
Yeah.
on, but doesn't have any direct impact on,
On
you know,
this,
what
yeah,
we're doing.
interesting.
And McGee is preventing left turns onto 39 now, right?
Yeah, for the
You
evening
can't
rush.
make lefts north or south on McGee or Tuckahoe Road.
The intent is to keep people from turning. I mean, always remember the statistic that you said, if every time someone stops, a car stops, it could back up 5 seconds delay.
A minute
Yeah,
congestion
yeah.
creates a 5-minute backup. A
Exactly.
minute stop creates a 5-minute backup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we have a lot of.
Thank you for the
Shinnecock Hills to
education.
Bridgehampton every day.
Until you live here, You don't live here.
No,
You don't live here. You live here.
Family
I
didn't
commute
give me much
here.
of a choice.
On your way west, you'll be very interested in what's going on County Road 39.
Because you're gonna be in the cone and cop stuff this
Yeah, it
afternoon.
might be interesting to hear, particularly for you.
Yeah.
Or both of you.
Look at it as a case study.
It is, it's like a case study, it is.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's it?
Yeah, essentially,
Any other questions from us?
So where are we
What's our
now?
action,
So,
Anthony?
now that we had the traffic study that was done and submitted, and we discussed it, we have the engineer that came back, said everything was good. Now we could deem the application complete and schedule the hearing for June 12th.
Okay. Motion.
Motion by Gloria, second by Kate, all in favor? 5 in favor, 2 absent. Thank you.
thank you.
They get in the traffic.
Yes. Exactly.
Don't play in traffic. Are you going east?
I wonder if I could build that.
I'm going west, Shinnecock Hills.
Okay.
Wish I was going east. Can't afford to go east.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
gotta get a raise, Dave.
You know, to be honest with you, I don't know. I think you could go up to North Sea Road and try the left. I don't know what's going on in the village side. They were putting that on blinking. But I'm not quite sure what's going on down there. I've been up on the North Sea Road, 39 side a couple times this week. We'll see how it works out. But yeah, give it a try. Let me know. Exactly.
White ducks. You have to sit on it lower. When you're sitting on it. Yeah, so it goes. Press and then just let go. Just one floor at a time. Don't go to the lobby.
Or the basement.
Menswear.
My toes touch. Usually I'm too high and then my feet don't touch the ground. So
That's what Jack is experiencing.
I'm perfect today, or at least level of my
Brenna.
seats.
How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good. Okay, so on the agenda, we are at, where are we?
12?
12. Thank you, David.
This is a sign request for 3 White Ducks, which is formerly the West Hampton Motel or the Seabreeze Motel in West Hampton. It's 19 Seabreeze Avenue. It's on the corner of Montauk Highway. It's the lot that has that deep front lawn, that motel.
Mm-hmm.
You're familiar with it? They had a site plan approval back in 1997. Most recently, they got administrative approval in July of last year for some improvements to the site and renovations. The sign is before you because they still have an open permit. It's under construction and they have yet to receive a CO, so it's coming before the board. The applicant is proposing to remove the existing sign, which is on Montauk Highway. And I have 8.5 by 11s in front of me, but this is a slightly larger version. This is here.
It's in your packet.
Yeah, it's a little bit, might be a little easier to read here. The sign measures 6'9" by 4'8 3/4", or just shy of 32 square feet, which is the maximum allowed for that zone. Vertical wood siding, and it's stained charcoal, which is matching the new materials on the building that have been proposed and approved. White lettering, 2 sort of gooseneck or extended arm fixtures for external lighting. And they did submit the spec for the light fixture as well as the lamp or the bulb to be used. It's all conforming to the code as well as the sign and the location of the sign. I don't know, is the location in the same exact spot? Or
It's
is
the
it slightly
same
different?
general location, Daphne Vaughn, Surfside Environmental Planning. The existing sign is less than 20 feet, so we're moving it to a conforming location, but in the same general area.
Okay.
And as Prana mentioned, the wood siding matches the brand-new pavilion that is completed. Just to add, they had a final inspection with the building department, I believe on Tuesday, and passed. So we're in the final processes of closing everything out because I believe they want to operate Memorial Day. So landscaping is going in this week.
The ARB reviewed it at their April 15th meeting, and they approved it. They had one comment to add the building number to the sign, which has already been done and reviewed by the board, or at least one of the board members. And I think that's all I have, unless you have questions.
So, I do, yeah. What is, the sign is white? What is the pale gray around it?
No, the sign is actually this wood siding. So this is really just a schematic where this is more of a detail showing what it would look like. So it's basically black with white. All of these,
White, I
the
see
logos
that.
and everything will be white and on black, essentially.
And what is this shaded outline? What is this? Is this part of the
that's
sign?
nothing. That's just putting it.
Okay.
That's not part of the
Because
sign.
I was asked for.
I did have them
Pantone.
clarify the height is shown on here, and then just showing that that's grade, just so it's clear that the sign is only the black portion and not
Yes.
the contrast behind it.
It's a two-sided sign?
It's two-sided sign, yeah.
On that side elevation, so these are like two little spots that are kind of away
They're
from the sign
LEDs.
and pointing back at it.
Yes,
kind of.
correct.
And so what's happened with the building, out of curiosity? This is fine.
I'm sorry?
It's a nice sign.
Yeah.
We haven't submitted to them yet because we're waiting for this approval, and then we'll submit to them for the actual building permit for the sign.
This will be a little boutique motel, is
Yeah.
that kind of a?
Yeah, they renovated the entire existing structure, maintaining all the same room numbers, and this pavilion is really just for check-in.
The parking is positioned.
Yeah,
there
the
too.
parking has been reiterated. It was right in front of the building. They've made it into a nicely landscaped. It's gonna be like a nice meadow vegetation with individual seating areas in front of each unit.
An improvement.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so are there any
I
other-
like the ducks.
The ducks are sweet, yes. So, any other questions? Motion by Kate.
Second.
Second by Gloria, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 2 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Teresa has a site disturbance.
What,
Emma.
yeah,
Wait a
but what
minute, wait a
about
minute.
94 Dune Road?
Oh, yeah, 94 Dune Road. So we're just going to do an extension. So they submitted for the Docker site revised DEIS information, and they did a nice job. They gave me, that it's not bound, and they identified where all the changes were, but I still need time to review it and get it to the board. So they offered the extension until May 8th of 2025.
May 8th.
A motion?
Where are you, Todd?
Number 13.
13.
Oh, sorry, I had it checked off for some reason. So our action is
Extension,
Extended to May 8th.
May 8th, 2025.
May 8th is going to be a
a
very
bore,
large
a bear.
agenda.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to deal with that. So motion by
Motion.
Gloria, and second by Kate. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 2 absent.
And then just real quick, Jackie, number 17, Charlie Fox is off the agenda.
Off, okay.
And then 20, Stella Luna.
Yes.
We're just going to do an extension for submission of the final maps,
Extension to
7/21.
7/21/25.
7/21. So
Motion.
Stella Luna Family Farm, extension to July 21st. Motion by Gloria and second by Kate. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 2 absent. Okay. We did 15. So where are we?
I don't have to.
Ben chapter
Teresa?
330.
18?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the next one.
So this
Claire,
is,
you're gonna do that, okay.
right. I am not super informed about this. Janice just told me approximately what it was about.
What is it?
And then 330, administrative approvals to allow 2 things to happen. One would
You
be
can read it to us, Claire.
So this would be in the bottom of the page. It's, the
Section.
code already says approval of solar installations and other capital improvements to municipally owned properties that are the subject to an RFP bid and approval process of the town board, so long as as for unlisted and type 1 actions, said municipal project is the subject of a public hearing. So it would just be clarify that those actions would.
Require
Yes,
a public hearing.
yes.
So the
exactly. It
legislative
happens already.
intent is so that to streamline, clarifies the public hearings are only required for activities classified under secret as unlisted or type 1.
Mm-hmm.
That means that type 2 actions that you consider not considered to have, well, who decides that?
Who decides what's a type
Has an
2?
impact, no. That's basically by size, I mean, size of the, yes.
Exactly.
But who says that activities classified under secret have no impact on the environment?
Who decides that?
Yeah.
State does when they come up with a type 2 list.
Right, they would reference the list.
Okay.
And then the other part of the amendment would be to that site plan approvals so ordered by a court stipulation settlement can be handled administratively.
So give us an example of that, just. Christine, you can give us an example of that.
By the plain language, if we are settling a case that we have and it requires them to go back and get modifications to a site plan, because it was court ordered by judge, they can just go to Janice and she can review and make sure everything is in conformance with
Okay,
everything.
that makes sense.
Right.
So both these changes fall under 330.
180.
3.1A.
1A, yes, that's the administrative section.
Right, any other?
In the legislative intent, it says this will save the taxpayer cost associated with delays. But what I'm reading is that we're actually going to require a public hearing
for more projects.
So it seems,
It's already there. The code's already there. What it is saying is if it's, that captures type 2s, unlisted, and type 1s.
Right.
This would allow, by specifying unlisted and type 1s only, it allows the type 2s
go
to just happen.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Usually
they'll have a public hearing in either case. Either case will have a public hearing.
Unlisted and type 1, which are the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you want them to consider a certain percentage of clearing? Because I know that was a thing that you kept thinking that should go for an administrative review, but that's just like up to a certain,
I just think it makes it more complicated.
Okay, all right. I just know it's something.
There was a public hearing already scheduled on this. So.
Christine, we're working separately on that, because it includes other.
Not knowing what we were amending, usually if you have things X'd out and things added, and I'm not seeing the X'd out portion.
Well, this is brand new, right?
Well,
No.
this is only for municipally owned properties, right? So
Yes.
it's to
The first-
streamline
the first
upgrade
item.
for solar arrays and
Yeah.
other capital improvements that are.
Right. It is
So
municipally.
these are
Yeah.
projects from the Parks Department, Community Preservation, Highway, Department of Municipal Works. That's it, just those three.
Well, like they're putting solar on this building. That's an example.
Mhm. Okay,
I think these are the departments that generally do about 90% of the capital
90%,
improvements,
right.
or 100% of the capital projects.
So that language is clear enough for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other comments?
Motion to
Motion to,
Do you want to say
Support.
road
Oh, yes.
planning issues?
I never liked that phrase.
Okay.
It's like, it's all planning. So,
No,
we
no.
support, we
Supportive of
support
the,
the
amendments.
the amendment, yeah. Motion by Kate, second by Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 2 absent.
Seth.
Yeah.
Yeah, Seth,
He's gonna do, I have the revised 80 Anchors,
okay.
pre-application report. I made the necessary changes. If you'd like to take a look, basically, quickly, I added the language on the septic, that we would need proof of, pine bearing credits, certificates.
Okay, let's
Okay.
go over it systematically. This looks better already.
So we have point one, the ZBA recommendations allowed for the
So are
47.
we going back, we're going to the recommendations,
I
right?
think that's the part of the matter.
Okay. ZBA. Just go through this.
So this, the ZBA needs to grant, or has granted the 47 where 50 is required.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That the planning board is suggesting that a common access driveway be used, since the two lots, we don't want to have additional curb cuts. That the planning board shall require a vegetated buffer along the frontage with Flanders Road. I have that in there, street trees. That in addition to the innovative alternative on-site wastewater treatment site systems, we'd also like to see the pine bearing credit certificates. Will the APOD and the clearing restrictions, 60/40, the Central Pine Barrens compatible growth area.
You want to put in our new
Oh,
regs, and you have that, right? I gave you a
I
copy
wrote
of
it as
that?
you, yes, I have your copy.
And I also thought we were putting in buffers.
There was no buffers with
Not on this one. No, that was the other one.
Okay.
There's
one right before this one.
There's a
Okay.
clearing restriction, so that kind of naturally makes buffers.
They're coming back.
You know.
Yes. New language
I,
on project
I suffer
limiting
the
fence
same
and all
thing.
that,
They
okay?
get mixed up sometimes.
My email.
Yeah, it's in Dennis's email, and I
If-
think
if-
sent
if
it to you.
I can, yeah, because
Oh.
that's great, then we'll just cut and paste it as is. Then
Yeah,
we-
only
we-
for APOD.
Not lost in
Yeah,
translation.
you just have to add APOD.
Yeah.
Because it's not in with Jackie.
Claire, I have that in my email, I'll forward it.
Oh, you do? Oh, great.
Yeah, because he sent it to Teresa and he copied the board,
Oh,
so
perfect.
you'll do that.
Glorian's point, it has to say APOD.
Right.
Dennis's draft didn't
Yeah,
say.
Dennis's draft does not have that.
Well, it does. I just copied and pasted the text.
Oh,
We have some kind of like a administrative policy manual or something we could consolidate all of these things into, or does that exist?
Back to the administration issue, administrative site plans, you mean?
No, just generally the
What we
text
just
that
talked
we
about.
adopted.
Well, it's
the
going to
energy.
be, it's going to be language in the covenant.
You didn't adopt it.
I think she's
You're doing
talking
it as a-
generally.
I'm talking generally.
You have to have, a town board has to do a policy adoption
code
for an actual policy, an official policy. So if you guys make it conditions of your approval, that's just what you're doing. And if we amend the code, you can do that too.
So hold on one second.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is we often say, oh, we asked you guys to add this language to the reports. We have a lot of those. How are those archived?
So we cut and paste.
So I think it could
From
be a
one
good
project to the
idea.
other.
It could be a good idea to have that centralized,
Right.
and it maybe isn't a policy, right? But it's like our standard operating procedure manual that if we have a change to that, then, you know, it doesn't fall through the cracks. It kind of
We have in the past
through, or-
those templates. We
Mhm.
have those for covenants, because subdivision covenants can range for tons of things. So we have templates like that.
Mhm.
We could develop templates for both site plans and subdivisions.
Glossary, just a glossary of all of those.
top
For
10,
example,
easy to access.
Clearing would have this for the APOD covenants would have that language. We have a sustainability paragraph that should go in everywhere, right? And it's, what's happening is that it's sort of
It's
pot shot.
It
It's not,
sometimes happens and
and sometimes it doesn't.
and we sometimes remember and maybe we don't.
So it should just be the way you go, engineer report,
What we can do is, we can do a template of like typical conditions related to a
I think that's
subdivision.
where Kate's going.
Right.
Typical, yes, we
Yeah.
can definitely do that.
You know, a couple times a year, we can look at that. Anyway, this is,
If I've developed those, I can just add.
right.
Somebody
Okay.
always has that personality. It used to be Dave, and now it's her.
No, now it's Teresa Reza, who could do it?
It's done, I just have to copy and paste that in there.
Yeah, but it's in.
We'll take a look at it,
I think
and
what's,
we'll present it to you.
In one
Yeah.
place that especially for a new planner,
Yes.
It's nice to have one place.
it's a good crib sheet.
Okay, sorry, I diverted, but I think
Not
it's
at
an
all.
important point
Because
just to
I actually
take that procedure.
had spoken before about the fact that we make changes like we made here.
Yeah.
And we vote on it, but we sometimes don't ever see it. And so that, if we didn't take a look at this,
You would, right.
that whole thing would not have been included. So it's kind of a check and balance
Yeah,
that we have with each other. It's not
Yeah.
criticism, it's checks and balance, because then it goes into Minitrack, it goes to the town clerk.
Yep.
And that's what's recorded. And if it's not in there, after all our hard work and yours,
Yeah.
what's the point?
No, it's great. It's great. Excellent.
I will
So
make
Claire,
su- I
you'll-
will make
you'll
sure to
make-
get that in
you'll
there.
make sure
This
your
will be the
team
first
does that,
one.
right?
Well,
You
my
know, because
team's
we
already
see
done
it.
it. It's great.
This is the final point that I'll make on it, but we see it with applications that were recorded. The record shows, you know, and you coming back and modifications are requested, if that intent and it isn't really fully recorded into the record, it's the interpretation of whatever's happening at that moment. So I think I would, support our intent made clear.
Absolutely. Okay.
So you're going to add that.
I shall. And then point 6 was the Central Pine Barrens compatible growth area. They do require dark skies compliant development,
And so do we.
and so do we.
I mean, it's our dark skies, not theirs, right?
You should put the lighting code in there. I mean, that's the article, right? that
Yeah,
you're
that's
saying.
the entirety of the
Yeah, it's
lighting.
just not dark skies, it's lighting.
It's lighting, it's
Well, what
commercial.
language should we be using?
No, the article's fine, but it should probably just say lighting code.
It's residential lighting in this
You can
circumstance.
put dark skies in parentheses, but it's,
Okay.
there's no mention of dark skies in our lighting code. It's just based on.
Or, you're right. Lighting.
Yeah, I mean, spell it out, Central Pine Barrens compatible growth area,
Yeah,
and then
the
pursuant to article
Sipakaga.
of what, right? Like
The town
these-
code.
Right,
Yeah.
specific.
Lighting code.
Lighting.
Okay, yeah, I used the big one, umbrella, saying we'll catch it all there.
Right.
But I could whittle down.
But when people look at this report, if this report is pulled up a year from now, and they look at these recommendations, which will become conditions, it needs to really spell out exactly what we're
Clearly.
talking about.
Yeah,
Mhm.
don't be vague. Okay. I did add for the next one, compliance with the town engineer's anticipated recommendations, that it would not only be the 3-inch drainage, but all other requirements. And the other ones pretty much stayed the same.
Great.
Okay, are we missing anything?
To approve as amended.
We never approved it
Minor
before.
modification.
Okay. So we're going to, is this the one that requires?
This does not require the archaeological.
Okay,
No,
so we're.
that's the one that's sticking in my craw as well.
Okay,
a
so
different
this is a motion to approve. This is what?
Pre-application report approval.
Which number?
So what is it?
80
Oh,
Anchor,
the-
2-lot subdivision. Oh, it was number 3 or 4.
5.
Of course.
Or 5.
Single digits.
80 Anchor Street, pre-app report, and today was the action deadline for this?
Go home and go to bed early.
But Seth, you need rest.
I just flew into town. I won't go any further.
They voted,
I was on vacation for the last 5 days.
Okay.
This was all,
You someplace nice?
yeah, Florida, Miami.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right. You're right.
Okay, motion to accept this draft pre-app report by Tom, second by Gloria, all in favor. Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 2 absent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Official business.
Okay, then we have
ML Bridge.
Are we done? Oh.
We have
Hopefully the last.
ML Bridge. Teresa, that's you?
Hi, good afternoon. This is the estates of Edward V. Padula. The applicant is seeking to construct a second-story cantilevered addition in this area on the landward side of the existing dwelling. They have a wetlands permit. They went through the process to get a Conservation Board wetlands permit, but then afterwards they found out the subdivision, which was created in 1981, requires them to come in for site plan. So they are here before you to get approval for the site plan for the proposed addition. This is the subdivision map. And again, they're just looking to do a cantilevered second-story addition here with an IA septic system. This was a very simple project, so I just referred it over to the con board and waited for comments from them,
Conditional approval.
which was received. So I'm recommending that the application be deemed complete. We waive the hearing and we grant a conditional approval subject to the recommendations of the conservation.
Can I ask you to have an address somewhere on here?
It didn't have that on there?
I'm
Okay.
looking for it this morning, yesterday.
No.
Okay, I'll add that to the resolution so that it's clear.
Yeah.
Huh?
So you
It's
have
on
a
the agenda,
completeness
but
and a
it's not in the
conditional
resolution.
approval. So you just did the completeness.
Yes, and then I am recommending that we waive, the completeness recommends deeming it complete and waiving the hearing
Why would we waive the hearing?
because they had a hearing through the Conservation Board for the proposed construction.
When was that?
So just to give it some context, you're looking at this because in the 80s, there wasn't a conservation board.
There was no conservation.
Yeah, so they knew this was a pretty sensitive piece of property, being mostly wetlands. So they had the planning board be site plan planner. Now we've got the conservation board, they do all the hard work for you. So it's kind of an old covenant. They could have done it one of two ways. They could have asked for the covenant to be waived, then they wouldn't have to come back for site plan, but they just thought site plan approval would be the easiest route. You're just following the,
The original.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the context.
So it's a wetlands permit that we're getting them.
No, it's a site plan. The Wetlands Improving Authority is still conservation because that's who the town board gave it authority for the wetlands.
Right, and you'll see here this notation on the subdivision application. It says site plan approval by the planning board. So they don't need a wetlands permit from us.
1981?
1981.
Yeah, so that's just
When was the
But
conservation
now
board
they
established?
would. I mean, doesn't this
In
board?
theory, they could have come to us and gotten a site plan and wetlands permit.
Right, that's what I
But they
understand.
went through the whole process already with the conservation board. There's no need to get a second wetlands permit.
I think you just say you approve the site plan consistent with any approvals from
Yeah.
conservation.
I'm just.
Yeah.
The confusion is that,
Yes.
I'm just trying to clarify it, is that we now issue wetlands permits when we
Do subdivisions.
right, subdivisions.
This is a subdivision
This-
property.
Right.
I have spoken to the consultant for the applicant and suggested that they consider amending the covenant to eliminate this requirement because those wetlands should be done through the conservation board. They have the expertise there.
Okay.
But at this point, they've gone through the process and they don't want to go through the process of the
Okay.
covenant at the
They want to
moment.
build it, they want to build the
They
addition.
just want to go, yeah, because they started the process with the conservation board in 2022.
Okay, 3 years ago. So it's complete? we're
we're
deeming,
hearing.
waiving the public hearing, and
And
we're,
then there's a second resolution granting conditional approval subject to compliance with the recommendations of the Conservation Board.
what are they? Can you just go over them?
One was removing the unauthorized kayak rack. The other was also removing some debris and fencing that were in the existing covenanted buffer and scenic easement. And lastly was compliance with the terms and conditions of the permit that was issued by the Conservation Board.
Okay, so do we ever see this again or not? We're finished with it.
We would be finished with it, and then maybe they would come back for a covenant amendment. And a final inspection that I would do.
These are all a little odd, some of these
very odd.
applications, you
You
know?
always have to think about why was there site plan approval, whether it's slopes or wetlands or some reason, and
Mhm.
that was the reason in this case.
Right. Okay, so, given all of that, who's going to make a motion?
Do we have to make two
You
motions?
have to make two separate motions. First, to deem the application complete and waive the public hearing.
Okay,
Okay, motion for that.
Second.
By Gloria and second by Kate, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 2 absent. And then the second one is to
Approve the
approve a
site plan.
conditional approval. Motion by Gloria and second by Kate, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 2 absent.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Prena, Corwith Red Barn.
Yes, this is an extension to their pre-application report for 1 year, so. it's-
Oh, extension for 1 year.
Yeah, this was the 5-lot subdivision, the conservation
Oh,
opportunity
yeah.
subdivision.
Yeah.
So they submitted a letter, they said they required a little bit more time with the county, apparently they're close, but they just need a little more time, so they asked for an extension.
For 1 year.
Yeah, to
For 1 year, yeah.
425
typical,
next
yeah.
year.
To 4/25/26.
4/25 of 2026.
2026. Okay, motion? Motion by Gloria, second by Kate, all in favor. Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 2 absent.
And
Signed plans, we have.
Stella Luna.
Okay, well, I'm acknowledging Kim Lester Boat Storage.
Excuse me, I'm right, that Stella Luna was an extent, forget what I just said.
Okay,
Kim
so,
Lester signed documents, I signed that.
okay, acknowledging number 21. Anything else? Yes, Seth, it's 5 o'clock now. I was hoping we'd have a little bit more time. We'd really like to, yeah, can you give us,
I think this would be a fantastic time to give you the draft code.
okay,
It's my understanding that it will be
Is this for the referral?
noticed.
Is this the referral?
This is
No. This is, obviously the town board has to give us the formal referral.
Right, which
So
we're
this will
doing
be
on
just
Thursday.
kind of
education,
Just
educating a board.
how we got to here. And then it's gonna be on May 8th for you, for a formal referral.
On May, oh boy, okay, on May 8th, but we need some understanding.
What are we
This.
talking about?
This,
I'm going to give you the draft code so that you can have a chance to look it over and we can have a work session on it on the 8th.
Okay.
Does that sound appropriate?
And the town board's having a work session as well on the 1st if you want to watch that.
are they on
They haven't
May
even
1st
had a
just
work session
setting,
yet.
doing the scheduling a public hearing?
There's-
And a work session.
And a work
And a
session.
work session,
Special
May
work
1st.
Could we have a topic, please?
Yes,
Battery
yes.
energy storage.
I did not hear
the
that.
energy storage.
So, we have
I
we have
asked them if we
drafted
had
it.
some time, that's all, just to give us some education.
I don't know, but I think you can get copies of them. I just think there's something funny about having a work session here before the town board has even had a work session to
Well, they
decide
have
what
it.
they want to change or not change.
Okay, well, I was asked how much time, how much education we would need.
Yeah, that's separate and apart from this.
Yeah, well,
It's just on
yeah,
Beth's.
but
It's
he's-
just the circulation, right?
That's what I'm proposing.
And then you'll do,
Circulate the
and then we'll
draft
have a
for
work
the
session
next
on
meeting
May 8th.
on the 8th.
I don't even know if the agenda has been formalized
Well, how
for
about
the
this?
first.
I think I agree with her. She shouldn't get something that the town board hasn't acknowledged yet. But what we can do is tell you an overview.
Yeah, give
And
us
then
an,
once it happens on the 1st, on the 2nd, you'll get a copy.
Okay.
And
Right?
before you
Yeah.
get into
Yeah.
the
Came in on the
overview,
first.
it's my understanding there is going to be a written report on this, best committee
No.
and activities and stuff?
No, well,
There
the,
is
the
not
town
gonna
board
be-
was already presented
The
with,
steering committee presented an interim report with its findings.
and that was
At
used.
the work
Now,
session,
that was
but
the
there's
first
not gonna be a
iteration. Right.
published
Published,
report
no.
on what the committee found and,
Not that I'm aware of at this point, but that doesn't
okay,
mean that it won't happen.
okay.
So,
Support, how did we come to our conclusions? Perhaps, yeah.
so that was never shared with us.
The interim report from the steering committee?
Yeah,
No, you just saw the first iteration of the
way
public
back.
hearing.
And I watched the work session, but I just happened to watch the
Could
work
you
session.
tell us again when that next work session is?
May 1st, next Thursday, yeah.
The town board.
Okay.
And Janice and Seth will both present what the town board will then thereafter be setting a public hearing on for May 8th, which will be the code amendments.
Will the town board be changing any of the document at the May 1st?
They may, that's why we're having, so.
That's why you don't want to distribute
Yeah,
it,
because it's not, they haven't accepted it as what they're gonna have their public hearing on as of yet. So,
I'm sorry, the public hearing is it the 8th? Is it,
I'm sorry, it's the 27th.
27th.
Sorry, the 27th is the public hearing, but the work session is on the 1st. But what they're going to do, or the plan is, thus far, is that they're going to open the the special meeting, because they're all at the same time, adjourn it, have the work session, and then come back in and set the public hearings. If there are any kind of changes that the board members want to make as a result of what they've discussed at the work session, we'll do it right there, and then those will be set for public hearing for the 27th.
And how long will we have?
Yes.
Of May.
Okay.
So you'll have 26 days.
So
And
we'll
then
have
we can ask-
26
can
days
we ask
to
you?
review and provide appropriate comments for
Yes.
the referral.
Yes.
And Seth can give us some guidance as well.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, so I would be I could bring back what the town board, if they had any changes, then we could discuss that. That way we have the most up to
We do
date.
that on the 8th. Here, you could come to a work session on the 8th and show what the town board set the public hearing on, and you can make that part of the referral. And you guys can look at it
Yeah.
and then weigh in and send your comments
We'll have
back.
to take a look at that May 8th agenda.
But then you'll also have the 22nd of May.
Because they're not going to do anything until the
public hearing,
28th.
The 27th.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
So
if
if we
they
need-
adopt it that night.
If we need 2 sessions for you,
Absolutely. I mean, this is the first public hearing, the other one
Yeah.
too, so I can't speak to how long it'll go on after that.
thick is it?
There's 8 of them altogether. There are 8 different sections of the code, but a lot of them, one is a repeal entirely, that's one. So you're not even really
Right,
looking at
that's
anything. Another one is, 3 of them are amending the use tables, so you'll see how that. The other one is creating the overlay district or the zoning category, a new article that I'm sure he'll go more
Which includes the
into.
special exception standards.
Right, and then the other 2 or 3 are companions to that, where references are made to either site plan or special standards or building code, building standards, et cetera. There's one that makes this a type 1 action automatically if
157.
it's more than this, so
Right.
they all tie together. It's really, once you understand, or Seth explains the entire concept, they'll all just kind of make sense.
Okay, great. And then they all come before the planning board, those applications.
Yes.
That I understand, yes. They're all before the plan.
Okay.
And I presume.
For
there
site
was
plan.
Another moratorium, the moratorium was extended.
Till the
whenever it was. We're
27th.
getting to the end of that, yeah.
The 27th is when it
So the
expires.
town board has to act in some manner by the 27th or on the 27th.
Thereabouts, I'm not gonna,
Right,
it's within
somewhere.
it, yeah.
Great. Okay.
That's a
and-
good
and
overview
so-
of the process
okay, well,
anyway. That's good.
We'll look forward to that. I'd asked for and cleared with Janice basic training.
Yes, in June.
In June, so it's going to be Anthony and Teresa.
Teresa will be
and
doing it, yep.
Is it going to be the first or the second meeting in June, do you know?
We'll decide on
We'll decide on
Monday, and
Monday.
then we'll send out a blast on
Right,
it. Yep.
okay,
Okay.
great. And we're going to get a credit for that. So I think everybody's pretty much almost full with credits, which is good.
And are you gonna have ZBA there as well?
We invite them, why not?
Anthony said
Go
that
with
they've
it.
asked for it, but Janice suggested that we just do planning separately.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Gloria, second by Kate, all in favor? Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 2 absent.
Do we think we're gonna have a lot of people at 2?